Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for coming in this morning. This is the Committee of Civil Service and Pensions in the State Senate, and I'm Robert Jackson. I chair the Senate Civil Service and Pensions Committee, and I'm joined by my colleagues here, as you can see them all, with my ranking member, Senator Alexis Wykes, representing part of Nassau and Suffolk County, as well as our colleagues making a full committee seating before you today, Joe Adabo representing Queens, and Senator Ewen Chu and representing Brooklyn. We expect Andrew Gennardis, who is a member of this committee. Also, we have Senator Mario Matera representing parts of Suffolk County. And we're hoping that Senator Jessica Scarcella Spanton, representing parts of Kings County and Richmond County. As you know, that's Brooklyn and Staten Island. We hopefully expect her soon. The State Senate is convening this hearing in response to critical issues of retention and recruitment within New York civil service and public sector. We are continuing our discussion from the Wednesday, October 11th hearing that we held in Albany, which you can view on the Senate website or Senate YouTube page. Across all levels of public service industries, the state faces labor shortages. To strengthen the public service sector requires the development of successful implementation strategies that remove barriers, that attracts a diverse pool of candidates and retain an experienced workforce. The strength of public workforce has a profound impact on overall well-being and functionality of our state. A shortage of skilled and dedicated workers in the public sector directly affects the delivery of essential services to the New York residents that we all represent. Many sectors rely on a robust and adequate staff workforce, from education to healthcare, public service, public safety, and infrastructure. A thriving labor force is an integral part to the economic growth, improved productivity, and encouraging innovation. Retention issues can place an undue burden on existing employees, leading to stress, burnout, low employee morale. A stable labor force is critical in the state's long-term planning to make New York State competitive for business and investment. I look forward to hearing from our partners who share the same commitment to advance New York State and share the same concern about the state's ability to provide essential services, foster growth, and ensure the well-being of our residents. We are happy to have received written testimony provided by additional employer groups, unions, and advocates who are unable to attend in person. Before we begin the first panel testimony, I'd like to give the floor to the committee ranker, meaning the leading Republican on the committee, Senator Wyke of Nassau and Suffolk County, for opening remarks.
Thank you, Chairman Jackson, and it's a pleasure to be here today. So last week we had a really great session up in Albany. We heard a lot of wonderful testimony that was really educating. So basically, to sum up what we discussed last week, we heard that Tier 6 sucked, but only when compared to other tiers. So Tier 6 is financially responsible when we look at the long-term sustainability and the economic value of New York State. So it is a good tier. However, when the employees compare one another, it seems to be an unfair tier. So today I'm interested to hear what everyone has to say, how we can recruit employment and keep long-term employment. Tier 6 still looks like a good deal if you're looking for long-term employment compared to private sector. So we do have a lot of things to discuss. I'm encouraged to hear what everyone has to say, and I look forward to the rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, I forgot to say that we've been joined by Shelley Mayer, and this is a very important issue and concern for her in her area, and she represents Westchester County and part of Rockland County, and she chairs the Education Committee on the New York State Senate. So with that, we will like to begin our first panel representatives from the City University of New York, called CUNY, As a reminder, each witness has 10 minutes to provide testimony and then to open the floor for committee members to ask questions. So please just come up and introduce yourself as far as your name, your title, and who are you here representing, so that everyone who's present here today or who's watching here today will know exactly who you are. And with that, I turn it over to you.
Good morning, Honorable Chair Jackson and members of the Senate Standing Committee on Civil Service and Pension. Thank you for the invitation to speak today on retention and recruitment for civil service jobs in New York State and the New York State Pension Fund. My name, as promised, is Lauren Anderson, and I and my colleague Ludwig Wietzis are here to represent the City University of New York. I have the honor of serving as the University Associate Provost for Careers and Industry Partnerships and the Chief Workforce Officer at CUNY. In this capacity, I oversee an office that was recently elevated to report directly to the Chancellor as well as the University Provost. And this is a reflection of the importance that CUNY places on ensuring that our students can successfully launch careers while helping to fuel the growth of employers across the city and state. In July, CUNY released a strategic plan entitled CUNY Lifting New York. We chose this title deliberately in recognition of the role that CUNY plays as a leading engine of inclusive economic mobility in New York City and New York State. New York's economic growth, as I'm sure you'd agree, must be equitable. It has to lift all New Yorkers, particularly communities of color and residents who are underrepresented in critical careers long before the pandemic. No other institution is better positioned to lift up all New Yorkers than CUNY. Advancing economic mobility at scale is in our DNA. It was instilled 175 years ago with the founding of CUNY's progenitor, the Free Academy, which was created to provide access, equity, and opportunity to people from families of modest backgrounds and qualify them for, quote, usefulness hereafter. Through decades and generations, CUNY has shaped and transformed the city and state's professional and middle class. It's gained a national reputation for propelling more graduates up the economic ladder than all Ivies, Stanford, Carnegie Mellon, Duke, and MIT combined. And today, with 400,000 degree and non-degree seeking students served across 25 campuses, CUNY continues to commit to transforming itself into the higher education system our city and state needs at this moment and for decades to come. Central to this transformation is an effort to ensure that even more CUNY students have the exposure, preparation, experience, and connections needed to fuel an inclusive and thriving workforce, including in the public sector, which is a backbone of our city and state. CUNY is an unparalleled talent pipeline for this sector. Over 40 city and state entities hired CUNY students this past spring, and this was just this past spring semester alone. Our top employer of undergraduates is the New York City Department of Education, where nearly a third of all new teachers every year come from CUNY. And CUNY is actively working to grow this pipeline through 3 key strategies. First, we are expanding paid internship collaborations with public agencies. As of today, 13 city agencies partner with the CUNY internship program to introduce hundreds of students a year into the public sector workforce while they are still in school. This effort recently expanded with additional partnerships with the New York State Department of Information Technology and the MTA. And what we're finding is that students are hungry for the chance to work for institutions that keep their city and state running. In our first round of recruitment for MTA internship positions, over 16,000 students applied for 150 spots. We've continued to grow this essential partnership and have connected over 350 students to MTA internships since the collaboration began last year. Moreover, as we launch these internship partnerships, managers of CUNY interns have realized what an essential pipeline our campuses can be, and many have sought to convert these interns into full-time civil service positions once they graduate. However, we've quickly learned how difficult this can be. Even with a bachelor's degree, many interns did not meet the 2-year experience requirement needed to move into and qualify for many roles. So we've built it into our programming, actually. In 2022, CUNY relaunched the Civil Service Pathways Fellowship with New York City's Department of Citywide Administrative Services, or DCAS. And this fellowship built in a 3-year pathway for students to work and learn while working to qualify for civil service titles. As a result of the program, students can now more seamlessly transition into civil service roles at agencies that are more than glad to keep them. Our second strategy is not only having internships, but integrating connections to the public sector career paths into our curriculum. So beyond internship opportunities that exist outside of a student's degree path, CUNY is also working to integrate exposure to public service as part of a student's classroom experience. Just one example is the Edward T. Rogowski Public Affairs Internship Program, which integrates public service directly into classes by coupling a credit-bearing course with the opportunity to intern in the state legislature. Just in case any of you are interested, happy to talk about that more later. And thirdly, our strategy is to expand access to full-time civil service hiring opportunities. In addition to efforts to build early talent pipelines, in the past year, CUNY has also worked to ensure that full-time opportunities are more accessible to students. For instance, this year, CUNY campuses hosted hiring fairs for civil service roles in partnership with the City of New York, making public sector positions and career paths more visible both to students and the general community surrounding our campuses. This is the work that CUNY has embarked on to expand opportunities and partnerships that will enable students to pursue rewarding careers in the civil service. We're eager to do more and to expand our collaboration with additional state agencies. And in the meantime, we also recognize CUNY's invaluable role as a civil service employer ourselves. So at this point, I'll turn things over to my colleague Lou, who can tell you more about that work.
Thank you, Lauren. Good morning, Senator Jackson and distinguished members of the Senate Standing Committee on Civil Service and Pensions. My name is Ludwig Voitsis. Please call me Lou. I serve as the University Director of Civil Service Support for the City University of New York, CUNY. Attracting and retaining qualified individuals for civil service positions poses ongoing challenges. Competitive markets and evolving job preferences require strategic measures to ensure a robust and diverse talent pool. With that being said, CUNY has reviewed our processes and taken several measures to increase our recruitment and retention efforts, including for CUNY students, which include CUNY is exploring the creation of new trainee or intern titles in order to create opportunities for students and recent graduates to gain valuable experience which will allow them to transform into permanent civil service titles and create a pipeline for CUNY students. Additionally, we are exploring opportunities to partner with the CUNY Internship Program and the Civil Service Pathways Fellowship Program. In terms of our public safety and security titles, in response to challenges posed by recruiting for security titles, Campus Peace Officer, CPO, and Campus Security Assistant, CSA, we have taken several approaches to recruit for these positions. Public safety recruitment staff attended in-person job fairs, providing candidates with information about the positions, as well as the use of tablets so they can apply for exams immediately. We've developed a new website dedicated to recruit CPOs by making the information more attractive and accessible for candidates to explore and apply for the CPO exam. In terms of continuous recruitment examinations, recognizing the urgency in filling security positions, we instituted continuous recruitment examinations for Campus Peace Officer and Campus Security Assistant titles. This allows candidates to apply for these examinations 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, even on holidays. To ensure accessibility and flexibility for our candidates, all of our written examinations are now online, and candidates take the written exam using their personal computers on the day and time of their choosing. In terms of promotional examinations, CUNY has increased communication with the HR teams at the 25 colleges to advertise promotional examination opportunities for staff to increase employee career development. To conclude, we believe that by addressing these aspects of recruitment, retention, and highlighting the inherent benefits of civil service positions, we can strengthen the foundation of our workforce at CUNY. Your support in advocating for policies that recognize and enhance the value of civil service roles at CUNY will undoubtedly contribute to the continued success and growth of our institution. We appreciate your time and consideration of these matters and look forward to the opportunity to discuss them further. Thank you.
Thank you both for coming in. We appreciate that. I have a couple of questions, and then I'm going to turn it over to our colleagues. So it seems as though that the recruitment, that you're doing almost everything possible to communicate to the students of CUNY what's out there, and they should apply for positions in order to be interns or employees. Is there anything more you can do?
Right now, what we're finding is that the barrier is not student awareness. As we mentioned, we had over 16,000 students apply for our MTA internships. The
But
challenge.
only for 150 positions.
Right, and we've gotten up to 350 now because there was such interest. The challenge is really ensuring that we have the connections to understand what our state agency partners are looking for, and that we really can make sure there are positions available to them in a way that makes it as easy as possible for students to enter these positions, and while they're there, learn about civil service exams, titles, and potentially take them while they're still moving towards qualification. So, awareness is not our trouble. We really would love to have more relationships with state agencies to be able to build out the opportunities that are available for student interns.
And so what's the barrier for that you don't have that better relationship, if anything?
Part of it is understanding who is the best entity to brainstorm with at each of these agencies.
Mm-hmm.
Agencies seem to have different ways that they onboard staff, or that we might think creatively with them. So for instance, at the city, we have a single master contract with the Office of Technology Innovation, and then other agencies can make amendments to it so that we have an easy vehicle for actually placing interns in different agencies. We would love to set up something comparable with the state. We just are not quite sure who the right point of contact for something like that would be.
Okay, well, clearly, as you know, if you were listening or viewing the hearing last Wednesday, the 11th, the commissioner, Tim Hogues, was there and gave testimony. He's a commissioner, but also he's the president of the Civil Service Commission. And based on the discussion that he brought forward, he's open for any type of improvement in order to ensure that we try to get rid of all barriers to employment, and also filling the approximately 12,500 positions in the state, and making sure that the information is getting out there to everyone. So, I mean, clearly, you should reach out, and if that's a problem, you should let me know. I would then call them up. Hey, what's happening? And people want information, and knowledge is what? Power. So, for sure. But I just considering the fact that CUNY was doing everything to recruit, especially CPOs, because campus security is very, very important. I just threw up a question. I said, well, what is the salary for a CPO, a campus police officer, peace officer? What is the salary? I mean, is it enticing so that people say, I'm definitely, because I need the money? Or what is it?
So, well, the current salary is from an expired contract. I believe it expired in 2020.
Okay.
So currently, the minimum is about $36,000.
Minimum.
Minimum, right? That's the entry level. You come in at $36,000. I know that CUNY is just starting to negotiate with the union about a new contract. So I don't know what increases that will change.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of right now, that has been a challenge in terms of the salary being at that rate. We have seen that that is a challenge that we're trying to address, and look at other creative ways right now until that contract is signed to see about enticing candidates in. One thing that we're working on is to see about having a hiring bonus in order to onboard more candidates. So we're trying to explore everything within our rules that we can do to try to increase recruitment.
So if CUNY wanted to increase the salary minimum salary from $36,000 to $50,000, do you think you'll have a lot more people applying for the positions?
I would definitely think so, yes.
Okay. I would also, because $36,000 is, I don't know who can live off that. That's like having a little part-time job, if anything.
Right.
And so where's negotiations at as far as the contract?
I'm not part of the negotiating team.
No, I know.
So I'm not aware of. I know that I believe the negotiations are in their early stages, but this is also part of the pattern bargaining in terms of the salaries.
Well, clearly, one of the things, if that many people applied for the position, and there was only 150 positions that were available. I mean, you have a lot of people that are interested, but I guess once they hear that the salary is $36,000, some people feel that they can just go work at McDonald's and earn more money than $36,000. So I think that we all need to refocus about civil service and ensuring that people, if they're going to take a full-time job, they have enough in order to survive. Meaning, most people want to do what? Eat, pay rent, and have health insurance.
Correct.
These basics. And if you cannot earn enough money to do that, then you're going to be looking for somewhere else. So, but I want to thank you for coming in. I'm going to turn it over to the ranker, my colleague, Alexis White.
Thank you so much for your testimony and for joining us here today. And it sounds like you do a lot of work and have paid attention and made a lot of changes to your internships. Of course, internships equal to mentorship, which is really a great thing to make sure that our current employees are teaching the new and up-and-coming future employees, which is always very beneficial. I'm just curious, as you have these internships, though, what's the feedback from these students? What are they looking for? How are we matching them with agencies? And so what's important? What are their values? Because things are really changing. If, I've got young children, they're in their 20s, and their values are very different than what my values were at that age. So I'm just curious what you're seeing. What's the feedback?
So it's interesting. We do a lot of recruitment both across the public and the private sector, and students are eager to give back to their communities. It's something that is true of CUNY students generally, is that they really see the value of public service and contribution in a way where they can see how their job is bettering the lives of people that they live with in their communities. And so there is a lot of enthusiasm around these roles for that reason. And the feedback that we get from them is that before we made the changes and launched the Civil Service Pathways program, there was a lot of frustration that they couldn't transfer very easily into roles. So we've addressed that piece because many would like to stay in their current agencies. Another piece of feedback that we've gotten is that it is helpful to have professional development and mentorship in a structured way while they are in these roles. So we've been doing some work with their managers to ensure that managers actually understand the responsibilities of management of interns and have some support and can turn to our team to ask when they need to understand, what is being done at other agencies to support internships. But that's another big piece that our interns have flagged for us.
And in terms of time off versus pay, salary, have they expressed what's more important to them?
I would have to go back to the team and ask, but those are not the concerns that have risen to us at the internship level.
Okay. And I'm just curious, so we heard last week a lot of complaints about the length of time to onboard employees. Now, is there a long waiting time?
So part of the Civil Service Fellowship has students take the civil service exams in the second year of the fellowship so that they qualify, don't necessarily have to wait quite as long, can get started on the official onboarding into full-time roles early. So for that particular program, we're seeing a shortening of wait times. But yes, that has been a challenge in the past.
And I know sometimes, again, we heard this last week, we're our own worst salespeople, where you have people who are generationally in an agency. You have maybe someone who's in corrections or someone who's in a particular office, grandma, mom, and then they pass it down. And at this point, because of the Tier 6, we do hear a lot of individuals discouraging the next generation from joining those agencies because when you compare the tiers, it doesn't look like a good deal. However, when you compare that tier towards private industry, it still is a good deal for long-term employment. And I'm just wondering if you're seeing that happen too, where there's this discouraging attitude.
So 50% of CUNY students come from households that are earning less than $30,000 a year in household income, and many of the families that our students are in lack professional networks, including in the public sector. So the biggest challenge that we hear from them is not necessarily being discouraged from joining the public sector, but rather they're not sure how to connect and how to do so, or even what it'll be like, which is why we start with internships so that they can get a sense of the workforce. So I'm, again, happy to ask the team, but I don't think that we've heard a lot of that directly from our students.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
We've also been joined by the former chair of Civil Service and Pensions Committee, Andrew Gennardis. Good morning, Andrew. Good. So we're going to turn to Joe Adabo, our colleague from Queens.
Good morning, and I want to thank Chair Jackson. I want to thank you and the committee, the staff, and the Senate staff for allowing us to be here today. And so thank you very much for your efforts as well. I want to thank CUNY because CUNY in their role, certainly academically, but also in the area in the field of civil service. I want to say thank you. And you are also a big civil service employer as well. So I want to say thank you. Just a couple of really quick questions. For the CUNY Lifting New York and the Pathways to Fellowship, I guess there's too much, I guess there's not enough data for the Lifting New York just yet. It just started in July. But the rollout, has it been so far?
That is a great question. The CUNY Lifting New York, which is our strategic plan, came about after more than a year's worth of consultative processes with our campuses, staff, faculty, leaders, administrators. And so it has been building for quite a long time, and the items that you see within the strategic plan are the result of a lot of those conversations. So this process has been going on for a while and has been socialized for a while, such that we were able to hit the ground running with a lot of these pieces. What we're working on now, precisely to your point, is understanding we've set out some extremely bold goals in that plan, just on workforce alone, making sure we're getting up to 80% of students consistently employed within a year, tripling our paid internship rate, increasing the percentage of employers who are recruiting directly on campus. And so we're going through the process now of working with campuses to set out annual milestones for that process, but it is in progress at the moment.
And I'm going to respectfully request if you could keep us updated with any of that data, the goals that you're reaching and so forth, because I'm sure there's a budget for that Lifting New York. I don't know if you know what you might have budgeted for that program, but again, to make sure that what is budgeted is well spent.
So CUNY Lifting New York is our overall 7-year strategic plan. So it is all-encompassing of all of CUNY. So it is reflected in our annual budget requests, are aligned with those priority areas. Mm-hmm.
And the Pathways to Fellowship, similarly, I'm sure that whatever is budgeted, you're feeling that it's a credible investment, certainly for CUNY.
Yes, we can get you more information on the results of that program, certainly. That is a program that started out at 100 fellows, and because of its value, it has grown to 300 in this relaunch. So,
congratulations, and thank you. Last question, because you identified an issue. You've identified a problem about the connection with state agencies, and I don't know if there's a similar disconnect with reaching out to city agencies. But a question, is there a portal? Is there an online or virtual portal where the state agencies, maybe even administered by CUNY, that they can log on to, or I guess just for the ease of access, and that even applicants can go online virtually or this portal, just in an effort to try and, I guess, correct or resolve the disconnect?
So thank you so much for that question. It is a great opportunity to say yes 100 times yes. We have a website called cuny.edu/hirecuny, and any public or private sector employer can go to that page, can fill out a form, and will instantly be replied to by our industry support hub, who's a team of specialists who are in place purely to make those connections and ask folks who come to us who are looking for talent to get them to the right place, to direct them and find out more about what their needs are. So yes, cuny.edu, hire CUNY.
Excellent.
Hire CUNY.
Ms. Anderson, thank you so much. I think you should let us know however we can help certainly bridge that connection between you, CUNY, and the state agencies.
Thank
So
you. That
so
would be
much.
wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We're going to turn to our colleague Mario Matera, representing parts of Suffolk County.
Hi, everybody. I appreciate your testimony, and thank you, Chair Jackson, and my Senator Wyke, our ranker, for everybody caring. Just so you know, everybody cares, and especially my background, being a labor union leader, means a lot to me, especially a decent wage, a decent health care, and a decent pension. And just what, Senator Jackson was saying, everybody has to realize, yes, there's benefits involved with everything that's involved with any kind of a job that's being posted, but still, we can't survive with wages that are not feasible. My question is something to do with obviously BOCES, the BOCES programs, and I'm very much of an advocate to work with the school districts. Are we doing anything to promote that beforehand to get right away into, how are we working with the BOCES programs? That's my question.
So the BOCES programs are not so active in New York City itself because we have a complementary system within New York City's own public school system, namely our CTE schools that do a lot of the same function. However, I could not agree with you more that it needs to start earlier, this connection. And so our colleagues at the New York City Public Schools can really speak to it better, but they have launched a number of initiatives, including this year, my understanding is that over 130 city agencies accepted high school apprentices who came in to start working in the public sector and start understanding what it's like while they're still in the public school. And we at CUNY, our chancellors and our teams meet regularly with New York City Public Schools so that we can ensure that those transitions to higher education are more seamless. And so there is a real interest in ensuring that we understand what students' interests are while they're in high school and then continue to advise them on how to pursue that throughout college.
Yes, because that's something that, again, we're pushing, that there's a stigma, but this stigma is not there, and especially what's happening, a lot of our young children do not want to go to college or, guess what, apprenticeship programs, but again, it's just a good start that you guys would be in sync with each other. I'd really appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Next, we're going to turn to our colleagues from Brooklyn, Ewan Chu. Senator Chu.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Senator Robert Jackson, for this opportunity, and thank you for both of you for coming. Thank you for your necessary information to share with all of us. I had a question about the continuous recruitment exam. I can see, I just want to know more information about this, the detail and some background, because I can see is apply for those exam 24/7, and then how do we get the information, or after they apply, how often they will be able to participate in the exam, or where they can apply. Just want to know more about those information.
So we have the information on applying on our website, and it takes you to the portal where they would actually do the electronic application. So we have the two security titles, the Campus Peace Officer and Campus Security Assistant. For Campus Security Assistant, when they apply, that exam, we go through, and on a monthly basis, we get the candidates who applied, who have passed, who were found not qualified. So on a monthly basis, we're adding them to the eligible list. And we have a continuous recruitment eligible list where they can be on it for up to 2 years. That list is tiny. I wish we would get even more applicants for it, because as soon as we're adding them, we're doing a hiring pool to get them hired and get them onboarded as quickly as possible. For Campus Peace Officer, that has an actual written examination. So instead of doing that on a monthly basis, we currently have 4 quarterly testing periods, March, June, September, and December. And those are about a 2-week testing period window. So candidates that apply, and there are cutoff dates, we have them clearly outlined on the first page of the notice of examination, that if you apply by up to the cutoff date, you'll be invited to take the examination to the next testing window. And those that apply in between go to the next testing window, and it's continuous. So we're doing the testing during that window, where during that little over 2-week period, candidates can schedule their written exam for the date and time that they choose. They can reschedule it as well. So, and I mean, I've seen candidates have scheduled the exam for 6 in the morning to start taking the test. I've even seen someone schedule it for 1 a.m. because they work nights. So we've got a very large window where they can take the exam, and we get the results of that approximately 2 weeks after the testing period closes, and then we add the candidates' names that passed onto the eligible list. And even with that exam, we then pretty soon after have a hiring pool for the academy for Campus Peace Officer.
And that's only for the CPO and CSA? Is
Currently.
Any other sector in the CUNY or anything we could apply or expand this program?
We are looking to see where would be strategically advantageous to have that. We have a few titles in mind. We're just working on the logistics and getting that set up and informing our campus partners so that they're aware of it, so we can have that move forward.
And in terms of that, I can see CUNY being trying to be creatively to increase the title, the pipeline, the pathway, the program. What's the hardship? Like we cannot, how can we support, or why we couldn't expand now? Like what's the hardship?
Well, we're trying to identify those titles where we can create, let's say, a trainee title that CUNY students would take an examination. It probably would have either, they'd have to have X number of credits or et cetera, what that might be, so that during that trainee period, they would gain the work experience, and they would then automatically mature into that next higher title. So they would mature to a permanent of what the trainee title matures into, and then they'd be eligible for whatever promotional exams that particular title. So we're in the stages of trying to identify which titles would make sense in terms of we don't want to create a title where there might only be one position or two positions at one or two campuses. We want to try to make it where it's more university-wide, where we will be getting recruitment, and so we're in the midst of exploring what titles we can do that for, and to kind of set that up, and then to work with Lauren and her team to put that, hopefully get that into effect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to turn to our next colleague, Andrew Gennardis, and then we're going to take Shelley Mayer.
Great. Thank you. Good morning. I was glad to hear and see in your testimony you talking about the relaunch of the Pathways program. A few years ago, when I chaired this committee, we held a hearing about the connection between our public universities and our civil service, and DCAS talked a lot about the Pathways program. You're relaunching it now, but obviously it existed. Can you tell us a little bit about how it went for those years, number of students that went through the program, where they were placed, are they still in civil service, what types of positions are they in right now, and what lessons have you learned from that pilot that's informing and shaping the relaunch now?
So in terms of retention numbers, placement numbers, and exact agencies, I'm going to have to send that to you in follow-up because I don't have it here with me today. But what we learned from the first program is that both on the student side and on the city agency side, there was a lot of appetite for the program, and they wanted to do a lot more of it. And the challenges in expansion had to do with headcount at agencies, because these are fellows who we expect to move into full-time roles, so agencies do have to identify headcount to be able to support them. There has been a lot of advocacy to be able to have this program grow to 300. That was one of the things we learned is a barrier, but we are glad that in this new iteration we're moving forward on that. The other piece, which I believe they've worked on, is at the DCAS side, is really the component around mentorship and professional development, and making sure that the fellows sort of have a broader picture of how they can grow their skills to be successful in the roles in civil
The
service.
initial pilot program had how many participants? roughly?
100 was, I
100.
think, our previous level. Mhm.
Okay, great. Next question, I want to kind of pick up a thread that Senator Matera teased at a little bit. I recently sent a letter to both city and state officials talking about how we should be thinking about outdated college degree requirements for a lot of our civil service postings, and kind of shift to a skills-based hiring approach where appropriate. And as an institution that obviously is a degree granting institution, but also is a certificate granting institution and has a lot of students coming for no credit or just professional development programs, how do you see your role as CUNY's role in facilitating this shift towards a skills-based hiring approach? And are there more opportunities for CUNY to kind of step up in that vein and play a bigger role in that transformation?
So thank you. So often this does focus on our degree-seeking students, but we do have 150,000 non-degree-seeking students who come to us for workforce programs, for GED equivalency tests, ESL, et cetera. And from our perspective, we are working every day with employers to make sure that graduates of those programs can also connect to employment. In terms of how we're thinking about our role in ensuring there are more opportunities. There are some titles currently that do not require a bachelor's degree for a student to start working in them, and I wonder, Lou, if you might say a word or two on
Yes.
that.
Thank you, Lauren. Definitely. In terms of civil service titles at CUNY, approximately 90% do not require any sort of college degree. Yes. Oh, sorry.
I want everybody to hear.
So at CUNY, approximately 90% of the civil service titles do not require a college degree. Those that do, that 10% are focused on architects, engineers, nurses. So those are very specific, where I don't think we'd want somebody without the credentials and the degree to work on that. The rest, either a high school diploma is the minimum, or for there is a subset of titles that there are no education requirements.
And for students, for individuals who are looking at job opportunities at CUNY, for example, when they go to a CUNY jobs portal, internal portal, are they able to differentiate between which positions are or are not, do or don't require a college degree? Like, is that a search option? So if I'm a student, or if I'm an individual that does not have a college degree, or I have a couple credits, or I don't know what I have, and I'm looking for a job, do I have the option to sort jobs at CUNY, by college degree requirement or not?
I honestly have never tried that on the CUNY job site, so I don't know. I can say that for all the civil service postings, for all the CUNY postings, we have the qualification requirement section, and that will explain every, how a candidate can qualify, and it will list what we generally have on the majority of that 90% of the titles. It would say, for high school diploma, you need X number of years of work experience. However, if you had, 60 credits or an associate's degree, you would need less work experience. If you had a bachelor's degree, you would need
Sure.
either none or just a small amount, a lesser amount. So actually being able to we'd have to kind of test that and see. I know that CUNY's job site is very robust, and there's a lot of search functions. I suspect they can, but I can't say with confidence 100% that is there. That's something we'd have to test.
Yeah,
That's
I
not
think we
something-
should be doing it across the board, not just at CUNY. But like Senator Matera said, college, four-year degree is not for everyone, nor does everyone pursue that. 40% of New Yorkers have a college degree, 60% don't. So we're closing out the opportunities to civil service to 60% of our population just by having these requirements, or making it difficult to ascertain whether or not you even need this requirement in the first place. So it's something for us to think about as a committee, and as all public sector employers, as we're thinking about this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we hear from our colleague Shelley Mayer, representing Westchester County.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for allowing me to be part of this as not a committee member. Lauren, you mentioned that you have trouble, you sort of nicely said, with the state agencies. Is there any state agency that CUNY actually has a relationship with, that where you know what titles are available and students can seek internships or jobs there?
Yes. So last year, we launched a partnership with NYSIT, the state's
Oh, you
IT.
mentioned that,
Yep.
yes.
And that was a very successful partnership. They hired over 100 interns from CUNY. And so we do have a good idea of what is needed there, and why we're excited about that is obviously that's a need that is also reflective of all agencies and is broader, so that has been very helpful. That is an example I'd point to as a good working
Sounds like that's
relationship.
the, sort of the best example. Okay, I get that. Lou, a question for you. If, on the issue of creating new titles, let's say you have positions that don't have an existing civil service title, have you sought to create new titles in the, you said you're looking at it, but have you actually sought to do so?
In terms of the trainee
No,
titles, or just in general?
For employees at CUNY.
Oh, if we see that there is a need, and we recently established a new title, we will create a new title.
But have you done so?
We did create a new title about in March of this year.
What was it, if you recall?
A college print shop specialist.
How long did it take you to create a new title?
I believe it took us. That was interesting because we had to do a larger job analysis, so that ended up taking about 3 months. However, depending on what the title and what the need may be, and how, let's say, straightforward it might be, we could create a title within several weeks to a month.
Do you have applicants for that, or did you hire
Oh, yes,
for that?
yes, and we've given an exam. We actually just established the eligible list for that title yesterday.
Good. What's the starting salary for that job?
That is, it has multiple levels.
Right.
But the starting at level 1, I think, is in the low 30s. Again, that's part of the 2020 salary schedule. In terms of that, is, we're negotiating with the various unions. I believe all of the classified contracts are expired at this time, and the negotiations are underway for new contracts.
Well, because of the low salary in these starting positions that you've identified, it seems like that would be a disincentive, as my colleagues have said, for people applying for these jobs to be able to live in New York. And you agree, you've found that to be
Well,
an
especially
obstacle.
for campus peace officers, since that's has to be a 100% in person.
Right.
And that is also, they run a 24/7 operation. So that definitely for security, that has been, and I'm sure salaries again are an issue. However, at least on my side for the civil service support, what we try to do is make sure to advertise what the benefits are at CUNY, the pension, the
Right.
health benefits, that after a waiting period that you can get X number of credits for CUNY courses for free every semester.
Right.
So we try to also make sure that our candidates and our new hires are aware of the other benefits that are there.
Understood. Yeah, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
I just have one or two questions. Do you, when I say you, CUNY, do you have enough support in order to carry out all of the functions of recruitment, retention, examinations, and brainstorming and reaching out? Do you have enough staff in order to make sure that continuous recruitment, people want to know, okay, I'm applying for this position, how long is it going to take for me to go through the process to get employed? 9 months? People can't survive that long. When they want a job in order to, like I said, to pay rent, to have food to eat, health care. And so how long is it taking you, considering where you are with staff? How many people, is this one office, and where is it located at, so that people know, or is it divided here and there, as far as, and you're the university dean, right? So I'm asking you or Lou to put it all together for us from a visual point of view.
Sure. So I'll start with my team. So our Office of Careers and Industry Partnerships at CUNY reports to the Chancellor and the Provost. We have 50 staff, and we are really focused on ensuring the career success of our students, so building the relationships and pathways to make sure our students can move into roles. Separate from that is the team that works on civil service recruitment. I don't know if you want to say a word or two.
Sure. My team is located on Hudson Street in Lower Manhattan. We are a team, including myself, of 5 that
Five?
support. Yep, 5 full-time employees that support CUNY civil service for the 25 campuses and central office. The support that we have gotten from the Senior Vice Chancellor for Human Resources has been outstanding. Would I, of course, say that would I love to have a larger team and have, no one, I don't know if anyone would say, no, please don't give me more personnel, please don't give me more help, don't make my job easier. No, please. But however, I will say that we have definitely seen resources. Last November, we actually increased the size of my team with a hire who is doing the professional side of the exam development. So we're increasing our capacity. So I'm very happy with the support, and that's from not only the Senior Vice Chancellor, but from the Chancellor down in terms of how that goes.
How long does it take from one applying for an examination to getting employed? And if in fact they qualify and they meet all of the requirements, how long is the process?
So, well, it does range based on different exams. However, for something like CSA, we've had it where candidates have applied, let's say,
CSA is
Campus Security Assistant. Sorry, my apologies.
That's okay.
Campus Security Assistant. They have applied, let's say, this is October, September 30th, they applied for the exam. About 2 weeks later, there is an English oral component where we just make sure that the candidates have minimal English language abilities to communicate. And then by about, let's say, the third week in October, they would be placed on an eligible list, and we've had a hiring pool within 2 weeks of that. So they've had job offers about 5 to 6 weeks after they took the exam.
5 or 6 weeks, 2 to 3 months, you're basically saying, is that correct?
No, I'm saying, well, month and a half to 2 months.
Okay.
It's, is that campus peace officer, depending on when they apply, because
Right.
if they apply right after the cutoff, there might be a slightly extra time.
Right.
But from when they take the exam, with that, we have to coordinate with University Public Safety because they have to go to I believe it's a 16 or 18-week
Yeah.
training through the academy. So we have to coordinate when to have that hiring pool so that that can end. We could do the pre-hiring clearances for them and then get them onboarded and into the academy as quickly as possible.
Sure. Now, you had mentioned, when I asked you about salary, you said it was about $6,000.
That was for a campus peace officer
right.
currently, yes.
And you said that the contract had expired, is that correct?
My understanding,
When
yes.
when did the contract expire, do you know?
I believe it was in 2020.
2020? You mean 3 years ago?
Correct.
You have not come to a new agreement yet?
That is part of the contract negotiations that unfortunately I'm not.
How's that
part-
impacting recruitment?
Of course, if we had a new contract with the current salaries, I think that would help recruitment. But we have looked to see other methods of adding to our recruitment in order to also let candidates know that, this is a, civil service employment. It's unionized. There are collective bargaining agreements that, you deal with the contract expiring, and then when the new contract, hopefully there will be retroactive monies so that you will get that. So we're trying to advertise that as much as we can
Hopefully.
to let people know that this isn't just, that the 36 is the end all be all.
But your
And
office is not involved in those negotiations, Lou?
not my office.
Okay, Lauren, is your office
No, we're not part of the team.
not part of the team? Okay. Now, you did mention a salary, a starting salary, it is what it is, at $36,000, but you did not say about the campus security assistant. What is starting salary there?
Campus security assistant, and that they need a security guard license.
Okay,
That is, I believe, about $34,000 currently.
okay. My colleagues, any last minute question? Anyone? So let me thank you for coming in. We look forward to working with you. Any information that is requested, I ask you to send it to the committee so that we can then make sure that every committee member has an opportunity to review it. I hope that contract negotiations, are they ongoing or they're what?
My understanding is they are ongoing, yes.
Okay. What office is responsible for that?
I know that the senior vice chancellor and labor relations, which is under the senior vice chancellor for university HR, they're involved in the negotiations.
Okay. Because obviously, when the contract expires in 2020, we're not talking about last year, we're talking about 3 years ago. And, we just need to get moving on coming up with a contract that's agreeable to both the union and the university. So, thank you for coming in, appreciate it.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, and next, we're going to hear, and we're right on time. We're going to hear from TWU, Transport Workers Union. Its president, Richard Davis, El Presidente, and whoever else you want to sit next to you. I think I have this particular here. And good morning to you.
Good morning.
I think I have introduced your name and your title and your union, but it would be good to hear it from your mouth and along with your colleague that is next to you.
Okay.
And then you may begin. You have 10 minutes, if you don't mind.
10 minutes, okay. So
And I
forgive,
ask everyone to please speak into the mic so everyone in this room and everyone else can hear you.
all right, forgive me, my voice is very hoarse this morning. But
Get some water, though.
I didn't want to miss the testimony. And of course, my first testimony for the New York State Senate, but so many familiar faces. Shelley and Andrew and Ian, Joseph, everyone is familiar to me. It's surprising, but yes, thank you very much. So I'm actually here to read a statement that I prepared on behalf of the transport work unions and its 42,000 plus members. Ultimately hope the gravity of this issue is understood and addressed with urgency. So, Senator Jackson, again, thank you very much. And the members of the Civil Service and Pension Committee, thank you for this opportunity to address a matter of keen interest on the transit workers' pensions. I want to take a few minutes to talk about Tier 6 and why it needs to be changed. In short, Tier 6 is incredibly unfair to transit workers. It punishes them economically when their hard work should be recognized. Tier 6 is also a bad public policy. It hurts the state's ability to recruit and retain critically important workers, like the men and women needed to operate and maintain buses, operate subway trains, replace tracks, fix signals, clean stations, and perform many other tasks in the transit system. I'm going to focus here primarily on one particularly onerous provision of this pension plan, the overtime cap. The amount of overtime that can be used to determine a transit worker's final annual salary for pension calculations is nearly $19,000. This is inherently unfair. Much of the overtime for transit workers is scheduled overtime. Overtime that is built into a worker's schedule for day-to-day operation for planned special projects. Sometimes overtime is mandatory, but transit workers never assign themselves overtime. They work extra hours because they are needed. Instead of being home with their families, they're working because it's required. Transit workers don't get to stay home when a crisis hits, whether it's a snowstorm, a flood emergency, or a deadly pandemic, as you all know. We must come to work to complete shifts that last longer than 8 hours. It's often all hands on deck, and the jobs we do are not easy. Take the historic flooding that took place earlier this month. Transit workers like hydraulic workers who operate massive pumps and track workers who clear drains were deployed even before the storm hit. They spent long hours preparing for the deluge. They were embedded in the bus and subway system overnight so they could be in place to battle the rising waters, so the authority could provide riders with as much service as possible for as long as possible. This is tough and dangerous work. The third rail, for example, is electrified. Trains are still moving through the system while you work in tunnels. Accidents can be deadly. After the storm, transit workers were out there checking signals, examining communications equipment, and inspecting power cables. These tasks are necessary to ensure that segments of the subway that are suspended could be reopened safely. During the pandemic, bus and subway workers reported for duty when much of the city sheltered in place. We couldn't work from home. New York City needed us to get the doctors, the nurses, the grocery store workers, the firemen, the police to their frontline jobs, and our ranks were hit hard. Thousands became sick and had to quarantine, and more than 110 died. A lot of the work we did with heavy hearts and under great stress had to be done over time because the workforce was greatly depleted. How in the world is this fair for a transit worker to do all this additional work and not have it count towards his and her retirement? We step up and do the right thing for New York. We even put our health and safety on the line. We spend countless hours away from our families to keep New York moving. And then we get shortchanged. Adding insult to injury, New York City has created a caste system of workers. Tier 6 applies to workers hired from April 1st, 2012. There is no overtime cap for workers hired before this date. So I could be working side by side in the dead of the night in horrendous, difficult conditions, and my labor count towards my pension, but my coworker standing next to me is getting screwed, which is very unfair. It's unfair, it's wrong, and it should be changed. The overtime cap should be eliminated. Earlier, I just heard somebody testify to recruitment retention, which is interesting for us. But job applicants and existing workers know this. It's become more difficult to recruit and maintain the public sector workforce because of its bad policies like Tier 6. They're lured, everyone is lured to the private sector, so it's not hard to fill the public sector jobs. Finally, the Tier 6 calculation for our workers, final annual salary encompasses 9 years of earnings. That means they need a 9-year look back to calculate. That's 1/3 of their career. Given the physical and often dangerous nature of this job, it's not uncommon for transit workers to go out on workers' compensation, so they'll never make that 9-year stint. Their earnings are lower during these periods and when they're healing. Going back to 9 years to calculation benefits is an overkill and ultimately diminishes the value of the pensions awarded, resulting in real economic loss and hardship to the retirees. The plan already has measures to prevent overtime spiking in the final years of one's career. The excessive 9-year look back is not needed. Any look back period should be limited to 5 years. Fair treatment and a chance to earn solid limited benefits have been selling points for public service for generations, including myself and my father and my mother, who are all civil service workers. But they are being eroded by measures like the Tier 6. I urge you to remove the overtime cap, and I would like to see this done as quickly as possible for us to include workers. And I know a lot of the younger people coming here today to work, that's one of the major complaints about having a pension calculation similarly to Tier 4. So we urge you to please look into this. We have fought for many, many years. It's been almost 10 years since 2012, and we need something to be done about the Tier 6. Thank you.
For coming in and giving testimony. Do you want to introduce your colleague sitting next to you?
I am so sorry. Go ahead, Alex.
My name is Alejandro Arroyo. I am actually a
Hold the mic up if you don't mind, Orlando.
My name is Alejandro Arroyo. I'm a track worker for the MTA. I'm also working in the union as a communications director and many other titles. And I'm here in support of my president, Richard Davis.
Thank you.
We work very hard.
And how long have you been employed as an MTA?
I actually, I got hired 2 weeks after 9/11. So I actually remember doing inspections and work near the World Trade Center and seeing the big hole, and all our members down there in the initial initiative, the recovery project that.
And what
Yeah.
pension tier are you in?
I'm actually Tier 4
Tier 4.
Yes,
You
sir.
had prior service or what?
in public sector.
Yeah.
No, sir.
Okay. All right. And because Tier 6 is the current tier, and I think you said you were hired about 2 weeks after 9/11.
Yes, sir.
So what throws in my mind is how did you get into Tier 4?
He barely made the cutoff. It was April 1st of 2012. So he just made it in the last couple of months, which is why I said
I didn't
it's-
re-trigger back to 9/11 as
Yeah.
far as that long ago, but
Yes,
you're right.
yeah, it seems like just yesterday. So he's actually just made it in, and he could be working with somebody
Sure.
next month that actually is Tier 6, which is what we complain about, the unfair comparison to two workers doing the same hard work and having two different pension systems.
So President Davis, let me ask you, I mean, if Tier 6 has been such a problem, I assume it's been a problem since day one, and what have you, or you, when I say you, TW, the Transport Workers Union, what have you done in order to try to push this change?
So prior to me, my predecessors, John Sam and Tony Utano, has formed committees, and we've worked in committees through in Albany lobbying and making sure we walk the floors of Albany, speaking to everyone at the time, Governor Cuomo. At the time, was supposed to sign a bill for us to change the Tier 6, and he didn't complete that task. We were able to manage to get part of it changed from the 3063 to 2555, which is a big deal because our body extremities cannot take that kind of pressure and pain on a track work or driving a bus for that long period of time. Your vision, your mind, driving a bus for a long period goes lost and it becomes dangerous. So that's why we're able to achieve getting a 25-55. But the calculation for the 9-year and the overtime cap, it's an issue for us because if you go to the pick room and you pick a run, that run is already designed with overtime built in. So you could be working a 12-hour shift because that's what's available for you to pick, and you have to take it and work it full day. It's not that you have a choice in what you're working.
So in essence, the overtime is just part of the normal workday.
Part of the work a day, yes. Sandy was interesting to me because I worked through Sandy, and I was there for 48 hours straight because there was no one else to come in and you had to stay. You couldn't go home.
Okay. And you said that your union had or has a committee that's working on reforming Tier 6.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, we have a committee to reform Tier 6. We do spend on engagement with the membership, and that's, one of the heavy complaints about what they need to continue their career here for the 25 years. So I'm going to form a different committee, with one person to head it up. I'm not finished with who that assignment will be. As soon as I do, I'll send the information who would have the committee to go to Albany very frequently, along with our political action director, Sharice DeBose.
Sure. And how many members there are in TWU, Local 100?
So it's over 42,000, but I think affected by the Tier 6 is about 36,000.
Okay. So let me turn to Ranker Alexis White.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your testimony, and thank you for what you do. It's an important job, and I think a lot of people take it for granted. As we heard last week, the Empire Center brought up some very interesting points. I'll paraphrase sort of what they were telling us, which is that anytime you compare one tier to another tier, it looks like the newer tier got the short end of the stick. And that was an interesting point, and to that I'll say that Tier 6, I think, is drastically different than Tier 5, Tier 4, and so on. Empire Center also kind of pointed out that in order for tiers to be sustainable, because they're so expensive, for the state to be able to sustain that, that's why Tier 6 is falls so short compared to the other tiers. The benefits that they got apparently are just not sustainable by the state. But with that in mind, can you, obviously you're forming a group, a committee to kind of restructure how you see Tier 6. Do you have any of those recommendations at this time, or are you still working on that?
I'm still working on it, but I am involved with the Tier 6. I mean, during the pandemic from, I think, 2019, even before the pandemic, Tony actually found an error with the Tier 6 where they were inconsistent with the amount they were taking out of people's paychecks, whether it was supposed to be 6% or whatever that percentage, and it's inconsistent. The Tier 6 itself, I'm not saying anything incorrect about who wrote the bill or who designed the Tier 6, but I didn't think they took a lot of time because there's a lot of inconsistencies with how that money's taken out, who it's applied to, how they calculate. We just had a meeting last month, and what they show us on what the actuary created to show how much they were taking out, it was inconsistent from person to person. So the Tier 6 structure itself already has a lot of issues that we're not able to deal with, and they're not able to answer simple questions to tell me what's the base salary for one title versus another title. that it's not clear how they calculate it, whether it was NICE's civil service or MAPSTO pension. Neither side is able to answer on what the actual structure of the Tier 6 is currently at this very moment.
Yeah, make no mistake, I'm not advocating for Tier 6.
Okay.
I agree there are a lot of problems with Tier 6, and I think the overtime issue is especially unfair because when you can't recruit because Tier 6 looks so unattractive, you have no choice but to have overtime, and then to shortchange employees by not giving them credit for that overtime, you're not doing the right thing by the employee. So please don't misunderstand, I'm not in favor of keeping Tier 6 as it is. I think it needs major changes to it in order to be more attractive and to recruit the workers that we need.
Yeah, I think the point is fair. You just said from pension to pension. From Tier 1, they paid nothing into their pension, and it was 20 and out. I think at this day and age, the mortality rate, according to the study, you're living past 72 years old. So I understand that the reality of that, but to punish somebody at retirement because the COLA don't raise enough percentage for a retiree to actually sustain the rent right now, the market value of a rent for retirees to pay a rent to live, if they don't, even if they own a home, I mean, the tax for that home goes up. Can the retiree sustain, or do they continue working to death? Do you work all the way to death, or do you look to do something else? It's a little complicated that they should have studied a little longer before they actually created the Tier 6 and take the time to realize what they need to write. I don't think we're saying that each person shouldn't pay their fair share, because we didn't even ask about the contribution amount. The Tier 6 is higher. We realize that's a reality that needs to happen to balance the budget, but in essence, when you retire, we're looking at the retirement benefits. At the end, also has to be in comparison to the other tiers.
And you mentioned the workman's comp. How do you have a lot of individuals? You said that there was a high rate of individuals going out on workman's comp. Are they receiving that compensation?
So it's a tough situation because sometimes they're denied for months before they even see a paycheck, and sometimes they can't even come back to work because, I'll use a bus operative example, driving day to day and push and pull, you're more likely it's going to pull a rotator cuff. Right now I'm sitting here, my knees are hurting, clicking, right? And I've driven a bus so many years. I have 28 years in this job. And the years I drove the bus, I realized I have permanent knee damage because I'm sitting here and my knees in pain from clicking the interlock of the back door, because every stop you have to open the back door with your foot. It's not a hand movement. You have to actually hit the brake with a certain amount of pressure to activate the interlock of the back door. That in itself create a depreciation of a kneecap over time, and that's what I mean by at a certain age, your body just is not going to be able to take the job. His job walking the track. If you see the rat size in the subway system, I understand.
I have.
You know, right now I'm trying to reform the quality of life for the worker in the new contract. I have it written in there where at least I can, you know, make sure an new employee come here, have a place where they can sit, eat their food properly. That's a simple thing because we don't have places. The bus operator make a relief in the street. They have to buy whatever the market price of food because they don't have a microwave to heat up their food. So at the end, you hope that the retirement, the years they work, that retirement look a little decent for them enjoying their life.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your testimony today, and thank you for all your comments because they really are very important to point out how incredibly dangerous the job is, the wear and tear that each employee endures during that length of their employment. So thank you.
Thank you.
Going to turn to our colleague Andrew Gennardis of Brooklyn.
Thank you. Good morning, Richard.
Morning.
I couldn't agree more with so much what you're saying. I want to just drill down a couple of specifics. Do you know, roughly speaking, how many vacancies there currently are for train and bus for employees in the MTA system right now?
So I don't know the exact number. I'll try to get you that stat and data from our communications department to send over to you. Maybe Pete Donahue will send it. But I know that we're hiring roughly about 300 people a week. We actually do the union day at the union hall, and we try to encourage a messaging to say we're fighting. So it's very important that I first day at the union hall to make sure they know we're here fighting for them. And it's roughly, we speak to about 300 people a week. That's the kind of rate they're hiring at. So the deficiency has to be in the upper thousands.
So a couple thousand.
Yes.
And based on what you've said, I want to just ask you again more directly, what do you think the biggest challenge is to recruiting people to fill those positions right now?
So one of it, like I mentioned, is the Tier 6, because the messaging out there is that someone put it out there that the Tier 6 is bad, and it's tough to come back from that because it took a negative approach instead of allowing us the opportunity to fix it. So it becomes much harder politically as you can see with the Medicare Advantage right now, that's taking a ride on a roller coaster. I don't even want to get on, but I'm on a roller coaster along with the rest of the city. But the Tier 6 is taking the same angle, so that's one recruiting measure. Also, the hiring rate that everyone feels is not up to it's subpar, it's not the standard. So that entry rate, that level that they hired at, needs to be increased somehow, some way to get people to be coming to work to stay longer. You have to make it more attractive to want to work here.
Can you, you're a bus driver, 28
Yes,
years.
by trade, yeah. Mhm.
Can you drive a bus without a bus driver?
No, from my view, definitely
Can you
not.
run a city bus without a city bus driver?
No, you cannot.
Okay.
I mean, I
So-
know that's the role for the future, but you cannot based on New York City.
Let's set aside self-driving buses. You know, we, in Albany this year, in the budget, we put a significant amount of money towards not only helping the fiscal cliff, the MTA, but increasing service, right, and expanding service. And we've seen that the ability of the MTA to deploy that expanded service has been impacted in some ways by shortage of workers. And so, you know, to me, it seems like we are, you know, being short-sighted in nickel and diming the workers who we need to fill these positions to provide the service that we fought so hard for because our constituents depend on it, if we're not actually thinking about what it takes to pay and retain and recruit and retain the people to drive the bus and to fix the subway tracks and to do all that work. So I think your point is very well made about the impact that this is having, not only on your members, but it's not just a member issue, even though it is. This is now, I think, an issue that affects the ability of the transit system to operate. Because if we can't recruit new members for you to drive those buses and to drive those trains, then every time we say we're fighting for better transit service, we're not able to deliver on that promise either. And so we should look at both, fixing, you know, looking at tier equity issues in the framework of trying to help improve the delivery of public services like sanitation and fire and police and transit services. And so I couldn't agree more with how you're discussing this issue on behalf of your members, that this is an urgent issue that needs to get addressed, and we shouldn't be nickel and diming a solution here because it's going to bite us on the back end. You know, it's currently doing that now, and it's only going to get worse. Thank you.
Thank you. You mentioned about the hiring. What is the hiring rate that you feel needs to be increased?
Well, I don't know if we could increase the hiring rate. One of the issues, and I think Shelley, we'd had some discussion about the CDL license training. That's an issue that we have to look at a little closely because it takes a long time to get a CDL license, and I think FIFA World Cup is coming to
You
me.
mean a CDL license? You mean to drive, you mean?
To drive the bus, yes, you have to go through a certain training for 6 weeks and actually months of being behind the wheel to actually complete the training process. And you might start a class with 60 people and end up with 20 at the end of the whole training process. The 40 cannot make it for so many different reasons. So it's the cycle is so many people that get cycled through before they actually get the job. So it's difficult from a hiring perspective to meet the CDL rate and then find people. Skills trade seems to be a lost in the source because I think most of the, and I'm saying this carefully, the children of today is most likely in the phone and the computer. So for them to look at a skills trade job is very difficult. So we don't encourage a lot of vocational schools like Transit Tech before to encourage it. Those schools are not taking in the students and training them to come out to these jobs because you do need these jobs at the end of the day, and it doesn't seem like that's something being focused on. And I have, personally as the president, have plans, like I mentioned, with the training for the CDL, reaching out to the community on the schools to try to help the hiring rate for us to increase, and that's what the plan is for future TW.
Okay. Senator Matera, you have the floor.
And I just want to echo everybody's comments here. You did a great job. And President Davis, I just want to say I appreciate you very much, especially being, I'm going to always constantly mention is that I'm a union leader myself, and I know what it takes to make sure that, again, a decent wage, a decent health care, and a decent pension for all. With the trades, which you hope you work all the time, every time is put in, and you're making sure that you're accumulating your pension and then, moving forward, which needs to be done. This is not right, what is happening here with this T6. How many members do you have in Tier 6 right now?
I think it's approximately, I'll get the exact number to you, but I
It's
think it's
around.
probably 33 or 36,000.
So, and you have full, how many full members do you have, full membership?
We mean full
The-
membership.
The full, your complete member, the members that are part of,
TW? No,
Yeah.
it's not complete because.
no,
they're
no, I know
short.
that, but how many do you have total?
42,
And how many in Tier 6 again?
36, it's about.
36,000.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about the majority of your membership
Majority, yes.
is getting
Change,
shortchanged.
yes.
Everybody needs to hear that.
So there's 36,000 of our members who will have a terrible retirement, who's working and giving their life to this job.
What I need you to do is this, and this is what I do as a union rep. I take the elected officials to the job sites to show them what we do every day. I will be there with you, my friend, to do that.
Thank you.
All right? Because that's what needs to be done. To show every day what we're doing, working hard, especially with just that flood that just happened. I couldn't believe the photos I showed of with the Penn Station and what you had to do. So I appreciate all you do. I will be there in the front lines to make sure that we fix this problem. Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Senator Darbo of Brooklyn.
Last time I looked at district lines and redistricting, Queens. So please don't, no more new lines, please.
When you're a union leader, you constantly go anywhere you have to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, please, no more new lines.
I'm here with my brothers and sisters. Thank you
All right,
very
thank
much.
you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Principal Davis, thank you so much. And just a brief statement, I do want to say thank you because your dedication and resilience, you and your members throughout the pandemic, thank you. And I'll even go as far back as in my city council days, 9/11, thank you. And also during Hurricane Sandy, which my district was devastated, the TWU workers were phenomenal. Thank you. And that was 2012, ironically the same year that Tier 6 started. So we now have 10 years of data with Tier 6. I, along with my colleagues, think it is ripe. The time is upon us with those 10 years of data of Tier 6 to talk about how do we improve the situation for our workers going forward. So I look forward to working with my colleagues in looking at Tier 6 once again with this 10 years of data to figuring out how we can make lives better for our dedicated workers going forward. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Chu.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Richie, for your time and sharing the story how actually a bus driver who worked on the job for 20 years could actually have a knee injury that we don't get to see or hear this kind of story often. And I really appreciate you sharing that because we need to have the mentality to support our TWU workers. You're absolutely right. When crisis hit, you're the one, TW workers, they're the one to make sure our city keep moving, that frontline worker could get to work, the passenger get to go to where they're supposed to be. Even just a few weeks ago, we have the flash flood. Half of my district, southern part of my district got flooded. If many of you, if you see the social media, there's a bus, water comes in, yes, that's in my district. The bus drivers still keep it moving. We make sure our passenger on the bus is still safe. Yes, people are gonna get wet, but we're not stopping. So I just want to make it very clear. You're saying 80% of your workers, they're in Tier 6.
Yes.
Only 20% of your experienced worker over 10 years. It's obviously there's something, it's hard to retain the experienced workers. Other than Tier 6, what will be the challenge for you to think for those retain experienced, qualified worker?
So other than Tier 6, like I said, the starting pay is usually an issue for us. And the CDL license it's on not only bus operators, but there are some other titles that needs for those titles, I don't remember what they are in track that needs a CDL license, but overall skills trades is an issue altogether. It's overall a whole challenge to support the TW. I mean, the Tier 4 people, this is a minor amount of us left, and we're going to age out soon. I have 28 years. Tony retired with 44 years. By the way, he said to say hello to you all today. His respect, regards for all the support you showed over the years. But those are the challenges we face in TW, just to fill the jobs and make sure we have people that come in that want to stay here for the 25 years to retire.
Got it. And in Tier 6, which impact 80% of your members, other than overtime cap, what else is the one, like the hardship, the challenge for you to recruit new members?
So they're hiring, making sure that the people come here staying the 25 years to make sure they have the skills and the benefits, making them educated to what the TW has. Don't get me wrong, the TW Local 100 is one of the most militant union fighting for our membership to be able to settle a contract to have good benefits. So the job in itself, I'm not going to sit here and bash the job. The job is a good job. It has its benefits. We do have one of the best medical benefits. It's just to get the younger people educated on what it is to come in and have a career here. That's what the challenge is. How do we get them to understand they need to come in and work for that many years, and how can we partner with the school system to encourage them coming here? And that's where I think the connection, the nexus is missing somewhere there.
Thank you.
Okay.
I really appreciate your service.
Thank you.
Senator Mayer of Westchester County.
Thank you, President Davis. Thank you, and I echo the comments of my colleagues here, both on Tier 6 and on incredible appreciation. I don't think everyone realizes that TW is very present outside the city of New York. I represent thousands of bus drivers for the Beeline bus who are members of TWU, as well as school bus drivers in many of the districts outside New York City who are TWU members. So one is this issue of the salary cap, the overtime cap. I want you to clarify, when you bid on a job like a bus route for Beeline, which is run jointly by the bus company and the County of Westchester, based on your seniority, you easily could get a 12-hour route that is equivalent of mandatory overtime.
Yeah, that's correct.
And you want that because that's a better job, right? Longer hours and more pay.
Yep.
But because of the overtime cap, basically, if you do that for 10 years, you get very little benefit for all the overtime you worked.
No, you get no benefit from the 12-hour run that you work. And like I said at the very beginning, they didn't really, when I asked them what's a base salary for each employee,
Yes.
they're not able to figure that out to tell me each employee's base salary at this very moment. So when you're forced to pick that 12-hour run, you have to work it, and you need it. If you have a child in college, I don't have to tell what the college tuition is these days, but you need to pick that run just because you need to sustain your family, and you're not home. You have to pay babysitters. It's so many reasons why you have to pick the 12-hour run when it's there, but you're forced to at some point to pick it because you have to, and it's not applied towards your Tier 6 pension.
And then the look-back period, which you mentioned, which is currently 9 years, which is extremely punitive, as you pointed out, really punishes people who worked overtime. The 5-year limit that you are proposing, is that the consensus of those that are fighting on this Tier 6 issue, which just for purposes of clarity, I strongly support changing Tier 6. It was a mistake.
So I think that everyone is in support of the 5 years. I know Senator Chu was asking me what stops. I was trying to figure out what else, but the Tier 6 does stop altogether, and that's one of it, the 9-year look back, because you have to work 9 years, one specific, holding that same salary for the 9 years is near impossible in some years. The 5 years is more realistic. The Tier 4 is 3,
Right.
the best 3 out of 5. So we feel that 5 year is a comfortable medium to go back to what you were saying about what we know tier to tier changes. What would be comfortable? The 5 year would make somebody stay here and stay that career period of time for the 25 years. I feel that would be something that we can work on and our members would be okay with.
Okay, thank you. And just the last thing on the CDL license, how short are you of applicants or the MTA for bus driver positions? Because there are not enough bus driver CDL licenses.
I don't know what that number is. I'll try to get it to you, but in Westchester, we're suffering with the school bus drivers just to get that CDL license across the board. And I'm hoping that everyone knows that school is important, and the children getting to school is just as important. I'm hoping that everyone making these policies and understanding why it's that important to make sure that we get the CDL, even not only the transit section of our 30-plus members affected by tier 6, but also the school buses who needs those jobs, making higher salaries, who actually don't have a pension, right? that's another challenge for us in the school bus sector because they don't have a pension at all. And some places match a 401k, some places don't. So
That's up to the private employer.
Mhm.
And there are a number of school districts that had a mad dash on the beginning of school because they could not make their school bus runs. And in one district that I know, the contractor simply said, I can't do it. I don't have any drivers. And they reached out from Rockland to Brooklyn to find drivers that had CDL and were willing to do it, but they had to pay an enormous extra amount. So we have to work together to get these trade, as my colleagues have said, and CDL license much more common and easy to obtain.
Yeah,
Safely.
I agree. Thank you.
How much would it cost for an individual to get a CDL license?
So
What's the cost factor?
The cost of the transit authority, which I have to go according to their cost, is a little over $30,000 from the training to license.
So in essence, someone that's looking for a job themselves,
No,
the
it's-
basically answer is no, not unless they're rich.
Yeah, because it's not, you have to pass, first the test, you have to study that book for a long time to actually pass the 3 parts of the test. And the actual training to get, you have to have a bus or a truck, a tractor trailer or something in it. You unless you own one of those vehicles because you own a business, there's no way to get that training and actually get to pass the test.
Okay. Well, first, let me thank you for coming in, and you and your colleague. I do know a retiree of the system. My brother retired on track division back in 2012.
Wow, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Ladies and gents, it's now 12 minutes to 12, and we're going to take a 12-minute break and come back and start exactly at 12 p.m. Thank you. Good afternoon. We're starting back. We invite panel 3 to come up, the uniformed EMTs, paramedics, and fire inspectors of Local 2507. Oren Brazela, President, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, and the Uniformed Firefighters Association, UFA NYC, Robert Custis, Vice President. Please come forward.
Morning.
Good afternoon. I think we have it. We have it.
You good, Oren?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So anytime you're ready, you can begin just by introducing yourself, your title, and who do you represent. And you have 10 minutes.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Oren Barzilay. I'm a 28-year veteran of FDNY EMS and president of FDNY EMS Local 2507. I'm here today to speak on behalf of more than 4,300 uniformed FDNY EMTs, paramedics, and fire inspectors. We appreciate the opportunity to appear before the committee, long supportive of FDNY and its EMS workforce. There is no denying that New York is facing labor shortages in the civil service sector, especially among FDNY EMS. Any EMT or paramedic or inspector will tell you that these shortages are the results of decades of pay disparity. EMS members are paid 40 to 50% less than other New Yorkers' great first responder agencies. Poverty wages and truly difficult, if not horrific, work conditions for members result in EMS losing on average 30% of new hires within 3 years and 50% within 5 years. This is a massive attrition rate. After going through the training academy and receiving critical on-the-job experience, a proud and dedicated medical first responders recognize the highly uncompetitive pay and poor on-the-job conditions. Some leave for other cities or even jobs with private firms where they can easily make $20,000 to $30,000 more per year. Many of my members have left the FDNY and are now working for Nassau County EMS, with many more applying there. Just 15 miles from these chambers, Nassau County EMTs and paramedics can earn up to $142,000 a year after 12 years on the job. with a starting salary of $50,000. After just 1 year, these medics will make $81,000, which is $6,000 more than a 20-year FDNY paramedic. When compared to our members, FDNY EMTs are earning a starting salary of $39,000. Even after 20 years working in FDNY EMS, salaries top out at $59,000. New York City spends tens of thousands of dollars training each EMS professional, but compensates them more like a teenager on a weekly allowance. It's why our first responders force is constantly experiencing massive brain drain. On top of that, members are leaving because the pension system is shockingly inadequate. 9/11 heroes among our members, even those with advanced illnesses and cancer, are denied or given bureaucratic runaround. Many of the FDNY EMTs and paramedics live outside of the 5 boroughs, unable to afford rent in the city that they work. They even have to pay a New York City tax called 1127, which costs an additional $4,000 to $6,000 a year for working in the city. Next, the looming prospect of congestion pricing will only cause further financial harm to thousands of EMTs. If an EMT works 5 days a week, earning $18.93 per hour, proposed congestion pricing would equate to 1.5 hours of each day's pay, or $115 per week. That doesn't include paying for gas or tolls just to make it to work. Given that, why would anyone choose to work in Manhattan? For the members that live outside of the city, taking mass transit is impossible, even unaffordable if they live an hour or two away from New York City. Meanwhile, Tier 6 members of the pension plan are now paying 12% contribution compared to 6% for Tier 4 employees. Coupled with severe limits and amount of overtime allowed for Tier 6, no one can afford to remain employed for long with the FDNY EMS service. For years, we have communicated with the FDNY and city leadership about pay parity issues. Promises made about parity and improved working conditions date back to before the 1996 merger of EMS into FDNY. These commitments they made shamefully never materialized. Instead, we have been forced to resort to different methods to get our point across. Unfortunately, we have won 2 federal class action workplace discrimination lawsuits. I say unfortunately because it never should have been or come to that. Our union sued for and won federal employment and wage discrimination suit with the U.S. Justice of the Department and federal judge recognizing the overpowering merits of the case. Yet another reason EMS workers are leaving the department is the alarming trend of surging assaults against them while simply trying to do their job. EMTs' assaults are at an all-time high, doubling in the last year, and many hundreds of our members are no longer reporting them. For the sake of our members and for the future of FDNY EMS as New York City's medical first responders, we hope that this is the year and the administration where true pay parity will be addressed. The reality is that under the City of New York's most recent guideline, app-based food delivery workers will soon have a $19.96 per hour wage floor, or about $1 more an hour than the highly trained medical first responders of FDNY EMS. In the case of the so-called deliveristas, the city was very proactive, in fact, very aggressive, in implementing this wage hike. But when it comes to their own workforce, at the busiest EMS service in the world, they just won't do the right thing. The dedicated women and men of FDNY EMS and the citizens we are sworn to protect absolutely deserve better than we have been subjected to. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you for coming in and giving a very clear message about what the situation is with respects to the people that you represent. So let me turn to now Vice President, and please introduce yourself, your title, and your organization or union.
Thank you. My name is Bobby Eustace. I'm the Vice President of the Uniform Firefighters Association of New York and a firefighter in Ladder Company 27 in the Bronx. We represent over 20,000 active and retired members. I have a prepared statement, and then I want to elaborate on it afterwards. Civil service jobs remain some of the most critical positions within government at all levels, not solely because of the invaluable services they provide to citizens, but largely due to the myriad opportunities they provide to those citizens hired therein. Historically, civil service is the path of the middle class for large swaths of our population. The benefits tied to these jobs are numerous, attractive, and long-term. Job security, competitive salaries, and pension plans immediately come to mind. However, like many job sectors in the post-pandemic world, the civil service sector is facing growing obstacles to attracting and retaining employees. As cost of living and inflation rates skyrocket, salaries that used to be highly competitive are now resulting in a tale of two cities. Civil servants who simply cannot afford to live and raise families within the municipalities they serve and protect. Additionally, the increasing gap between testing and hiring for competitive class positions, which make up roughly 80% of civil service positions within New York City, leaves potential hires in limbo, with some potential employees waiting upward of 7 years to be hired. With most positions in a private sector, a job seeker can be interviewed and be hired within a matter of days. This is not so for civil service positions, as mounting bureaucracy impedes the speed in which applicants can be hired. Currently, the Department of Citywide Administrative Services, DCAS, is averaging roughly 190 days just to get the results of the competitive exams. This is an egregiously long wait, and even before one factors in the time necessary to formulate the list and conduct the investigation into the applicant's background, there are few benefits that can offset this type of lag time. We're at a critical juncture for civil service positions statewide, but particularly in New York City. It is my hope that my testimony today can provide some insight into some of the obstacles that we face for retention, and that these challenges can be addressed and remedied effectively, so that the potential applicants continue to look for civil service as the gateway for improving not just the quality of life within our city, but his or her own quality of life. Our job is one of the ones that people actually sign up for in abundance. Our last exam, 72,000 people signed up for it. 46,000 people took that exam. We're currently at a 8-to-1 ratio of going through interviewing people. We are at a rate that we're not going to catch up to headcount until 2028. That's how low we are. We are in, someone told me, the steroid era of overtime as a joke, but we cannot keep up. Our members are working thousands of hours of overtime. An 8-hour workday has become a 15-hour workday. They just can't keep up with now. We cannot hire people fast enough. Our classes are being delayed and delayed. We can't put anybody in quick enough. A lot of the issues echoed that the other unions represented here. The tier system is horrendous. We are in what they call a Tier 3 modified or enhanced, which is a hybrid of Tier 3 because us and the police department are in that, and the combination of the Tier 6 benefits that affect our members. Everyone that comes on the job asks, what do you have? And they say, well, I don't have what you have. You have an inferior pension system. You have an inferior benefits to ours. And the other issue in New York City, as I say, the tale of two cities is a true thing. You look what rents are in Manhattan, you look what everything else, and you look at where we're living. We have members that grow up in Soundview and they grow up in Crown Heights, and they end up in Mount Hope in Orange County and Kings Park in Long Island. They don't want to. They want to stay in their neighborhoods and they want to stay and protect where they want and they want to live there. Even the bus drivers are saying that, Ralph Cramden doesn't live on the corner anymore. He's not there anymore. So how do we do that? We have to address real wages. We have to address housing and real housing, not just affordable housing and then skyrocketing, penthouses. So, and 70% of our members right now are in Tier 3 in the new tier. That's the majority of our pension fund as well. Thank you.
The last sentence, you said 70% of your members what?
70% of our members are in the new tier, in Tier 3.
Oh, in
Tier 3 or Tier 6?
We are in Tier 3. We only came down from Tier 2 to Tier 3, but it's called Tier 3 Enhanced because all of our legislation moving forward.
Well, let me just say that listening to both of you, I guess if I was an EMT worker, I wouldn't be living in New York either. Or I don't know whether or not I would stay in the job when I can work in Nassau or Suffolk County or somewhere else and earning $10 to $20 to $30,000 more, because the bottom line is that after taxes and whatever the government takes out, you have what you have. And is it enough to pay for your housing, whether or not you're talking about rental or whether or not if you have an opportunity to own? Do you have enough food to eat? Do you have health care and after-school programs for children, stuff like that? You have to look at that. Just like I was looking at for a family member of mine about consolidating credit card debt in order to reduce the amount of money that he owes. And so that's what everyone does as far as looking at their environment, the situation that they're in order to determine whether or not this is the best course of action. Based on the numbers and what you both said, this is not a good situation. And what about negotiations as far as contracts? Have your new contracts in place, or old contracts are still existing? Does the individuals, whether it's the mayor's office or the mayor himself or your commissioners, not seeing what you see? Because based on what you've communicated to us, it seems as though that things need to happen from a positive point of view for the workers that we represent, especially when we need to dial 911 for an EMS service to come, and we don't want to hear, well, we're sorry that we didn't hire enough workers, and now you got to get to the hospital, so you call an Uber or a cab to try to take you to the hospital. I'm not pleased at all as a state senator that represents many of your members, and I say it doesn't matter where they live, but all of the members that I represent, each one of us represent approximately 330,000 constituents, and what we heard, I'm not happy with at all, as a representative and as the chair of the Civil Service and Pensions Committee. It's very disappointing, and I want you to answer as far as the question as far as contract negotiations. Has it happened? Is it you have a new contract, or you're working on an old contract? And how can we improve the situations that your members are in through, if not contract negotiations, through legislative actions?
We are without a contract. We're going on 2 years almost. We've been asking to sit down, and we're not getting any response.
And you're the president of the Uniform EMTs, Paramedics, and Fire Inspectors?
Yes, FDNY EMS, local.
So 2 years without
We're going on 2 years.
without a contract?
Yeah.
Is negotiations ongoing?
No, they haven't even began. They didn't even give us dates. yet.
Haven't begun?
They haven't begun yet. We have 4,300 members. I would say 90% of my members are in Tier 6.
About 90% of them are in Tier 6?
Yeah, we don't have that many people who stay because of the wages. So it's a revolving door for us.
And what is the, you heard me, if you were sitting here, I asked about what is the salary range, hiring range, job rate, and stuff like that? So give us an idea.
So it's starting salary is basically poverty wages. It's minimum wage, $18 an hour, $39,000 a year. And you max out at $59,000. 10,
And that's
15,
after how
20
many-
years.
after
20
how many
years, you're
years?
still at $59,000.
I think that in your testimony, you indicated about the delivery people will make more than
That's
EMTs.
Correct. Starting next year, they will be making $1 more an hour, more than an EMT, not including tips.
We actually just ratified
Robert.
the contract yesterday.
Go ahead.
Actually, and our issue a lot of times is a lot of heavy legislative fixes. When we were dumped into Tier 3 because we came out of Tier 2, we didn't even have disability for our members. We have a large amount of our members, and we had to negotiate that. Our members that come over from his side, they take a promotional examination, and they lost their pension time. They had no pension credit. So a member who would work 8 years as an EMT, I know, the confused look, we had to, fight to get that legislated. And initially that bill got even vetoed, which was ludicrous, because that was the number one way our department diversified was through the promotional examination. And it was just swept up in a veto, and we were able to get it finally last year. But that's one of the number one reasons a lot of our members turn down our job, because they see the inferior benefits and the hurdles that we have to go over. So the majority of our fixes, and the pattern bargaining hurts both of us. They try to hold us to that. Budget-wise is a huge issue for our department. One of the reasons that we have these issues about going through different things is that everybody tries to do fair cuts across the board. The FDNY is 90% operational, which means 90% of our operations will respond to 911 in some sort of capacity. We can't trim anymore. So when they try to do like an equal trim across the board, you just can't guarantee public safety. So what happens is they just cut the small 10% that we have, and things don't get done. Interviews don't get done, follow-ups don't get done. To give you an example, there's, for every engine company, which is the most important thing to do is put water on a fire. In the city of Boston, for every engine company, there's one engine per 23,000 people. In the city of Chicago, there's one engine for every 32,000 people. In the city of New York, there's one engine for every 45,000 people. So we are already spread as thin as they are. And in Queens, it's for 47,000 people.
So that means if there's a fire, it takes longer to get to the job.
It takes much longer to get to the job. One of the things we've been asking for is the 5th firefighter. There was a study by a deputy chief that if you have one more firefighter on there and you need to stretch a hose line to the 6th floor, it'll take on average 11 minutes with 4 firefighters, but it'll take 6.5 minutes with 5. So it's a monumental change that we'll put on there, and it'll also change response times and everything else in a city. When Mike Bloomberg closed Engine 261 in Long Island City, the population was somewhere between 60 and 70,000 people. Population, I believe, is about, it's well over 200,000. I want to say 240. It's tripled. The population's tripled in that neighborhood, and they haven't added anything.
In your opinion, can action take place in the city council to help address the issues that both
Absolutely.
of you?
Absolutely. There's action that can be held in city council to add those staffing and add that manning to us. A long time ago, back in the 80s, I believe, we had a contract situation where they took away the 5th firefighter from us and they put it back through a limited number of units. And unfortunately, there was a medical leave caveat attached to us losing a 5th firefighter. Now we have through contract negotiations and through us having to give things back to guarantee public safety, we were able to get 20 firefighters in the 5th man. But the city council has the ability to fund this and put this right back on the fire trucks. And that's the safest thing you can do in New York City, is to put water on the fire as fast as possible.
So now, and your union represents all of the firefighters that are coming out of the firehouses?
We represent every firefighter, fire marshal, every wiper, marine, everybody on the boats. That's our union.
And how many members of your union?
Active, we have 8,200 members.
8,200?
Yes.
And the EMTs, the emergency medical services, that basically we hear all the time going to, I guess, a call.
Right.
Your union represents them, is that correct?
That's correct.
And how many members?
4,300.
4,300.
And we face the same issues. I mean, there was a report by the mayor's office last month that came out. Response time has increased by over a minute. As we all know, clinical death begins in 4 minutes. Biological death begins after 6 minutes. Our response time is over 10 minutes. Your chance of surviving in the conditions we have with the short staffing is you might as well make an arrangement at the funeral home.
And that's
Robert,
that's the same thing for us.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've been on the record before as knocking around Vision Zero to a degree because it's, we talk about congestion pricing and other things like that. And it's not rocket science to look outside that roads that were 3-lane roads that are now 1-lane roads with a bus lane and a protected bike lane. And then you throw city cameras on that. People don't think about that. It used to be a Frio. You blow the light because here comes the fire truck. No one's blowing the light now if you're going to get a $75 fine. So now you have a protected bike lane that no one can go through. So now the road's stopped. Construction's in the street. Construction used to just be on the sidewalk. So now no one can go anywhere. It's gridlock. You can't make a left turn. So now it's stopped. And the thing about response times that people don't take into consideration is that they use the same response time citywide. So it's a big difference between pulling up on a split-level ranch somewhere in Queens or Staten Island, or me pulling up somewhere in Manhattan and having to go to the 79th floor. I may stop the clock at 5.5 minutes right here, but that doesn't mean I'm going to get to you.
Robert, you indicated that that you just completed negotiations, I guess, yesterday or.
We completed negotiations. We sent the member out to we sent that to a vote for our members, so we ratified it. Yeah.
Will the contract negotiation that you and your leadership was involved with, would it address some of the issues that you've raised in this hearing process?
Minor. A lot of them, again, some of our exam was over 6 years ago. So, we're getting down to scores that we never thought we would see. And a lot of our members have moved on. They signed up for the exam in April of 2017. So now you're telling them, hey, you want a job? These members have families now. They have mortgages that they can't step away from and take a job now for this. They've moved on. They can't take these opportunities. So even though, our pay might be adequate, and I say adequate as far as what is the middle class in New York City, it's a question that no one wants to ask because no one wants to be on record of saying it is what it is. But with all the other things about our legislation, our pension tier, the restrictions that are put on that, those aren't addressed. A lot of the issues that the department has with funding, they probably need a 30% to 40% increase. People think I'm crazy when I say that, but it's true. We need more units, better response times. The Mayor de Blasio was on record saying he wanted to close down 14th Street and make it pedestrian only, and they wanted to give mopeds to the fire department. I said, that's great, except I can't put 5 guys and 500 gallons of water on a moped or ladders. It's not going to go well. I think I saw it in the Cat in the Hat, but it's not really going to work in reality. So, but yeah, a lot of the contract negotiations didn't really address, much of that. As a matter of fact, none of the contract negotiations addressed health care and the rising costs of health care.
The health care is an issue with the city, with the retirees. And supposedly there's a $600 million pot that was involved in the health care issue that the Municipal Labor Committee, I think, voted for.
They were banking on federal funding to pay the $128 billion unfunded deficit of retiree health care. That number's from the New York City actuary. And they were hoping that was going to go there, so they didn't give any money into Security Benefit Fund this round of contracts like they did the last 3. No one got any money. That's why they hedged a bet and they lost.
Let me just say that I can say on behalf of myself, and I would assume my colleagues, that some of the information that Joe provided us is totally unacceptable, because we would want firefighters and EMTs and paramedics to be able to work and earn a decent living to take care of themselves and be proud of where they work and acceptable salaries. And based on what I've heard from 2 of you, 2 leaders, you're not nowhere near that type of satisfaction. And I'm very disappointed. Let me just say that, loud and clear.
It's a very respectful career on both sides. People come here to do the right thing, save lives. There's nothing more rewarding than saving a life, but you can only do it for so long. But with these wages, it's killing us.
I'm going to turn to my colleague, Alexis White from Nassau and Suffolk County. And I went past my 10 minutes because I'm very disappointed in what I'm hearing from both of you, as both leaders representing your members.
Thank you.
It sounds like gloom and doom, and I'm sad to say that my son and his wife and my granddaughter live in Manhattan, and so to hear these statistics is horrifying on a different level. Even though I represent Suffolk and Nassau, it's truly horrifying. Let's take the good and the bad for a moment. What are some of the unique opportunities? Why would someone want to come work in the city for your departments? Give us the good, why would they want to, and what is specifically bad that needs to be changed? And of course, at a state level, what can we do to make those changes?
You want to go first? Or go ahead.
We have a great job, and I'll say that. It's very personally. No, I'm sorry. Bobby Eustace, UFA Vice President. We have a great job. It's very personally rewarding. The salary is decent. I'll say that. It is civil service is the path to the middle class. It's just when you get to that middle class, you need to, the thing about raising the minimum wage is when you raise that, you pull people down as well. And so you need to have housing for the middle class as well. If all you have is affordable housing or free housing, then the only housing that's left is bidded by the 1%ers. So that's just a little caveat there. But our job is very rewarding. There's a camaraderie. There's a lot of family values, a lot of tradition in our job. It's a phenomenal job that's there to have in there. And the bad on that, though, is that you come in there and you have to work longer now. The pension enhancement benefits, you have to work 5 more years. Even though it's a 22-year pension, the best part of the pension is the escalation, and you have to work 3 years for that. Our average member retires right now at 19.7 years because of how high our disability rate is. So there's a good chance you're not going to make that.
What's the average?
19.7 years.
Okay.
And most of our members that retire for service retire with over 30. So it's really a large rate of disability members. We had to add thyroid cancer to our bills because of this cancerous PFAS chemicals that are in our gears and our hood. The department's been cleaning our gear for about 10 years, but they'd only started cleaning our hoods 2 years ago. The same chemical that has been strapped to your thyroid and to your neck and causing that. So we're fighting on multiple different fronts. We got a one-time grant through the state for health and safety money, just so we could actually send our members for cancer screening. We don't have any funding coming in for that. That's something that we've been trying to get, just to be able to have our members be able to be detected, because the only way to stop cancer is to get it early. And we have, this year we put 72 names of deceased members on the international wall in Colorado. I mean, we lose about a member a week to 9/11 cancer and other cancers, job-related. So it's, people ask me the best and worst part of my job. Worst part is I go to funerals. Best part, I said, I get this parking placard. I get to park in most places, but a little levity. But no, it's a dangerous job, and we try to do as much screening as we can, and we've hit a lot of resistance on a lot of things that we need. I hope that answers your question, Senator.
Yes, it's pretty much the same. People come to FDNY. In generally, it's the biggest known department in the country. It's got a huge respect. No matter where you go, everybody knows New York City Fire Department. And they come here for reasons of they want to make a change in the communities. Like I said earlier in my testimony, there's nothing more rewarding than touching another human life, a stranger, and bringing them back to life, making a change. Because we do save people every day. We do make changes to people's lives and their outcome. We give them another chance to stay around, be with their loved ones.
And it's a dangerous job.
It is a dangerous job.
It's an incredibly dangerous job.
Yes.
And the fact that you're out there helping others and putting their lives on the line at the same time and not being compensated for it, what can we do to make changes to help make this a better situation?
Well, the state or the city made a law that gave fast food workers a minimum wage. They made now for the baristas a minimum wage. You know, New York State EMS systems are hurting. Everywhere you go, there's less volunteers. Volunteer houses are closing throughout the state. There's no EMS services in some counties, municipalities. If the state and the federal government started acknowledging that EMS is an essential service for communities, maybe we can have a minimum wage legislation done for EMTs and paramedics. I understand that living in upstate New York may be cheaper, but there has to be somewhere where we can throw language. If you live in a population of 1 million people, that this should be the minimum wage for EMTs or paramedics. But it's non-sustainable anymore. You know, the state. You know, we have a seat on the New York State Council of Department of Health, and they see a decline of people who are interested in becoming EMTs and paramedics. You know, our dangers is communicable disease. We can't see our dangers most of the time, and people don't even tell us sometimes that they have something that's contagious. So these are the risks that my men and women are exposed to on a daily basis. And with the assaults, I mean, just last year we had a paramedic lieutenant stabbed to death in Astoria, Queens. 6 years ago, Yadira was run over by her own ambulance, crushed to death. But in between those, hundreds of EMTs are assaulted every year.
Well, I thank you and your members for your service to our community and putting their lives on the line literally every moment that they go to work. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're going to hear from Senator Chu of Brooklyn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I really thank you for your service. It's shocking to hear, even you work on the line for 20 years, your salary cap on $59,000. There's just no career path for a young one who joined the FDNY EMS and to think about work for 20 years, and that's why you cap for your salary. There's no future. So it's very shocking to hear that. Could you share with us what's a requirement to be a FDNY EMS member?
You have to have your EMT certificate or paramedic certificate and a driver's license. That's the only requirement.
Okay.
A high school diploma, obviously, yeah.
Is there any like professional training required those days?
No.
Then when they join as an EMS member, do they get those professional training and then they can move to other career?
An EMT course is given at colleges, and then the paramedic course is also given at colleges. It's an accredited studies that they have to go through.
Okay.
And then once you join the FDNY, you have to go through their rigorous training and protocols. The state has different protocols than New York City.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when they go into the academy and they get to go over the New York City protocols.
And is there any reason for the salary will be capped for $59,000? Do you know what's the cause? What's the reason capped this way?
That's the contractual agreement that we have, but every time we negotiate with the city, as my colleague here said, they use what's called pattern bargaining. And when you have a force of mine who's, let's say, the top salary is $60,000, and let's say you negotiate a 10% raise, that's $6,000 raise. And then you have other agencies who are earning $100,000, they're getting that same 10%. So now they're seeing a $10,000 increase. So that gap throughout the years has always grown. We're constantly falling behind everybody else. And when we try to break away from the pattern bargaining, the mayor's office and OMB, OLR, they will not budge on that.
And my understanding, the contract expired almost 2 years ago. And when's the last time the contract negotiation happened?
We settled our contract in 2021.
2021.
Yes. So we're now trying to go again to Office of Labor Relations with the mayor's office to negotiate, but it seems like nobody's making any moves to get us to the table.
For the firefighter, you say now we're using the poll from 2017, those who took the exam. How long for the test when an applicant apply the exam and then be a list on the poll, get an interview, finally get a position, how long that would take?
So City Hall had a DCAS hearing, and they had one of the top people at DCAS come there, and they said the fastest they can produce any type of examination is 152 days.
152
152 days, which in the computer digital era still seems like a long time. And they said on average it's 190 days. That's the number that I put in my prepared statement. So we'll have maybe a half a list, but it usually takes about a year and a half sometimes in order to hire anybody off of that list. So it's a lengthy time. You know, probably maybe a year to 14 months, I'll say, probably to hire anybody from examination to that. And then they go through these processes. So they need to come up with some other way to start just processing everybody, or maybe make that part of the notice of examination, more of the processing in order to qualify. Because like I said, we're at this point right now where they're saying they can't get people to sign up, which if you have 72,000 people sign up, obviously people want this job. So there's people that want this career. So that shouldn't be the issue when you're going on to 7 years later, over 6 years later, and now you're telling people they're turning it down because, like I said, you can't wait that long for a job. You know what I mean? You have to make career moves at this point, and you have to move on. Or some people leave the area altogether. So.
Thank you.
Senator Addabbo?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank Orrin and Bobby. Thank you so much for your eye-opening testimony today and the dedication and commitment of your members. Thank you. 2 words you may not often hear, but thank you. And Bobby, your numbers regarding the Queens, 1 per 47?
47,000.
Yeah, 1 per 47,000, 1 truck per every 47,000 in Queens is certainly concerning. And I do look forward to working with my colleagues any way we can help going forward, because obviously it's about recruitment and retention to critical services for our residents. So I want to again say thank you, and I look forward to working with you both. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator.
Can I add something to?
Sure, go ahead.
In Queens, Far Rockaway, Howard Beach, we are seeing our units get redeployed on a daily basis. Far Rockaway has grown unbelievable with the housing, and we send resources. We pull Howard Beach resources every day into Far Rockaway, leaving your area specifically unattended. The Ozone Park units, anybody that sits around JFK gets pulled into Far Rockaway on a daily basis because jobs are just holding. There's nobody to respond. And that occurs every day, 24 hours a day, because we're so light in resources.
Orrin, thank you.
Yeah.
Orrin, thank you. Orrin, thank you so much. And information like that is extremely helpful to me, certainly as we think parochially about our district. Please forward me any information like that as we prepare for our next legislative session. So I appreciate any further information like that. I would appreciate.
Okay.
Thank you, Orrin.
Yeah.
Are any of these statistics being aware, like from community boards? You know, we have, I think there's 59 community boards in New York City. I mean, I would think that the members of community boards will be up and storming, saying this is totally unacceptable. So, is there any way these information is getting out to the community boards? That because everyone is going, if they're deploying people, and you're not aware of that, you think that it's a normal situation, but it's not normal.
We don't attend community boards, not because we don't want to. It's just a little rough with everything that goes on, but it happens every day. My station, I could come out of Bayside, Queens. I'll end up in the Bronx somewhere. I'll end up in Manhattan. This happens every day. The resources are just not there. The fire department is requesting additional funds to add more resources, but the city's just refusing to give them the budget for it.
Now, Oren, your members, knowing the salary is not appropriate, in my opinion, but I would assume that many people work overtime because they want to get additional money to be able to survive and live. Is there an average of how much overtime is being, taken up with respects to the employees that you represent?
So a majority of our members live on overtime. They do 3-4 shifts extra a week to maintain. And they have second jobs to work for the hospitals or other communities where there's an EMS system. Because there is a city cap on how much overtime you can do. So our members won't be able to survive without overtime. And they are basically living at work. There's no quality of life, home life, or any sort of extracurricular activities unless you're killing yourself.
Yeah, I was going to comment that basically the quality of life, first your health as far as resting, being able to not be so focused on having to work because you got to pay the bills in order to provide for your family.
That's correct. That impacts you as well. Yeah.
Let me
And-
turn to our,
and-
go ahead, continue.
And I just want to say, we are, and I love my colleagues here, we work very well together. Every 4 years, I lose over 1,000 of my members to go into there because of the better pay, So we take a hit every 4 years. And our members leave to the police department, sanitation, post office, any other city job or federal job that comes up, they would leave. One of my members left to become a delivery for Instacart because she's making more money over there. We lose people to this is just a temporary job for now until another city job comes through.
Senator Matera of Suffolk County.
Thank you, Chair. Just listening to this is just totally unacceptable. I'm sorry that you're even up here and giving this testimony that you even have to do this because, our, the EMTs and our fire department, what you guys do every day is, your members is so important for the way of life. And again, this is about life and what you do. I know that everybody here will do whatever we have to do. I'm going to tell you, you guys, please, whatever we could do to, when we go back up to Albany, and to give you dignity back, because this is just so wrong. I know what I have done. Again, I'm going to mention it again. I'll keep on mentioning it as a union leader to make sure, again, a decent wage, a decent health care, and a decent pension. And when you sit there and you fight across that table, really? That's why every elected official needs to go on that truck. Every elected official needs to go with an EMT and show what they do. Because,
You deployed from Queens and all the way to the Bronx or in Manhattan. You say, what?
okay, so I just came here and I should have took the train and I didn't. But I just know with the traffic, to get here, it took me 3 hours from Smithtown to get here this morning. And I just can't even imagine trying to go save a life, what you guys, tried to do to get in. And again, just a quick question, and this has been a big subject because, there it is, okay, I'm on Long Island, I know it's a lot different than coming into the city, big time. The migrant situation, how are you guys been handling anything with that? Has that been under control, or is it something that you're concerned about? I know maybe it's a touchy subject here, but I have to bring it up because this has been something that my constituents call me up all the time about. So how are you handling this? Because there's another
Yes, I understand.
issue with you guys.
I understand it's a sensitive subject to talk about, but the
Well, it
reality
shouldn't be.
The reality is we are impacted. All of a sudden, our call volume is spiking for drunks, people sleeping on the street,
Yes.
people fighting at shelters, It's nonstop with these issues that we see every day. We should be responding to true emergencies of New York City legal residents or tourists. But we have an influx of immigrants in our city, illegal immigrants, that are basically don't abide by what we as a society live by, and that's what we get: the intox, the drugs, the violence. We see an increase on that every day.
That's a shame that you have to have, now it's another layer that you have to deal with right now. What about with bulletproof vests, any protection? Do you guys have any of that?
We do have ballistic vests.
Please.
We do have. There's actually a council hearing on that next week, I believe, to make it hopefully mandatory that it will be issued by the department every 5 years.
I just want to add on, sorry.
No,
with
Bob,
with
thank
the
you.
migrant is that we're getting in the form of a budget crunch, and our runs are, both of our runs are historic. Last year we had over 650,000 runs, which is an all-time record, busier than the 60s and 70s when New York City was burning. We have units that are doing 6,000, 7,000 runs a year. That's there's units that are getting changed in the street. They don't even back into the firehouse. They actually have to meet in the street and just swap one for one, which isn't the most optimum thing to do. We were in a labor management meeting just last weekend, and our fire marshals, there's only 130 total in the entire program, and we wanted to get them CFRD, medically trained. It's a job requirement when you come on the job, and when you become a marshal, you don't have to keep up the status, but these members are running into fentanyl dens. They're running into members that are severely burned during investigations. They're running into people that are possibly shot. They carry guns themselves. They're police officers. And we asked if they could keep up their training, which is once every 3 years for 3 days. And we were told, no, we really got to watch our budget. You know what I mean? Things are tight. Things are tight.
So, Cook, you're not an essential workforce?
No.
How could that be possible, that you are not an essential workforce? I'm sorry, you are. This is, seriously, I'm so glad I came here today because I just cannot believe what I'm hearing. And again, this migrant situation just put another layer on your jobs. Both are, and I know we're going to be having our police are going to be speaking next in New York City. And I know, yes, I live on Long Island, but guess what? Still, I have a lot of workers that live on Long Island in my district that work here with you guys, with your unions. But again, this is something that needs to be vocal about what's happening right now and making sure that you guys get properly paid the right way, your members.
What you could help us with, maybe through legislation, is our crews are by themselves in the back of that ambulance. We're not like police or my colleagues here where they have 4 or 5 men together. When we go in back of that ambulance, we're by ourselves. So we get outnumbered and overrun, majority of my workforce.
You need to have a partner.
We need to have a third person on that truck. We have somebody driving and a technician in the back. So we need to have 2 people in the back. And maybe some sort of legislation to change that would help us in a safety manner.
Let's work on that. And Bob, just got a quick question for you. The 5th firefighter, there was a study done?
Yes.
And that study, like a Cornell study, am I correct? Something like
It was
that?
a Deputy Chief Vinnie Dunn who's written probably a good portion, I would say almost 40% of our books and our rules and regulations in the fire department are written by him. He's the Yoda, one of our superstars, if you will, of the FDNY.
And that's stating that pretty much you would be, obviously, with this, first of all, money is one thing, but this would be even saving time and money.
It would save, and response times. Our response times are built around this. So what used to happen is when you get a report of a fire, you send 2 engines and 2 ladder companies. The ladder companies do your search and rescue and your forcible entry, and your engine companies do your water, bring your hose lines. So 2 engines because 1 hose line goes right to the fire. The other hose line will go to the floor above to make sure that the fire doesn't extend up. Since we got eliminated the 3rd firefighter, you send 3 engine companies and 2 ladder companies still The third engine company is there to assist the first engine, because you need 2 engine companies now to get the hose line in place as fast as possible. So if you went back to that, you'd essentially put a third, you increase the department's availability by a third, because your response would be cut when you have another engine available.
And who did this study go to?
This study went to the department.
And what, on deaf ears?
They budget cuts. They cut it, and we've tried to fight to get it back. We've paid for it in contract negotiations to get 20 of them back, and even sometimes it's used as a manpower pool for safety. If a member gets injured during a tour and another company goes down, they'll take that 5th firefighter, so the truck company doesn't ride short that day for the rest of that tour, which is a positive for safety. But this is something that we've brought up time and time again, and even to this day, if you open up the fire department books, the safest thing you can possibly do is get water on the fire as fast as possible, and this is the proven method to do it.
Oh, and especially what's happening right now with the EVs and all the stuff that's happening with lithium batteries. No one's even talking about that, right?
No, and like I said, it's harder to get to the fire. It's harder to get, you look at all the outdoor dining that's here to stay now. Some of our fire trucks, they can get down the street, but they can't put the outriggers out to set
Right.
up their ladders.
Right. Can you talk about the batteries, please, what's happening right now with
I
all
mean,
that?
The lithium-ion batteries, if everybody sees that, it's just, I call it, it's almost the new space heaters that you see. When you see the fires, if you're the typical migration into New York City, people coming in here, low income, you get the aftermarket lithium-ion batteries that are just exploding, and, you can't put them out instantly, and they burn so rapidly and so hot, that by the time we arrive on these fires, it's almost as if the fire's been burning for an hour. So it's almost a lost cause at times. There was a fire on the Lower East Side where there was 2 members, the 2 civilians, naked sliding down a drainage pipe, and what the fire department was doing, there was somebody charging all the lithium-ion batteries, and he had run extension cords from other apartments to get the free electricity out of the public housing complex. And he pretty much did melt concrete in there. That's how hot that got.
Absolutely.
Melted concrete.
If you have an EV car, you have to submerge it in water because you're not putting that out.
And that's it. You have
And
to
that's right.
yeah.
What about all the fumes and what about all of the chemicals?
And these we're trying to get, I mentioned it before, we got a $250,000 study, which we've, grant for health and safety, to get our members screened for cancer. We're trying, and we've exhausted that in almost a year's time. We're trying to get more studies done on that with the PFAS and the lithium battery, the chemicals that are coming off and onto our gear. And when we have one of those fires, we're advising our members to immediately send out your gear and to try to have them decon further because of the dangers that they're experiencing with these fires and how much these chemicals are absorbent and everything else like that. So, and the more popular they come, the more aftermarket they come.
All right. Well, this just proves that, in other words, we need to do something with this board, Chairman. Thank you so much, guys, and we are here for you.
Well, clearly, it's going to take all of us working together. Obviously, we're at the state level, so when you consider legislation and things like that, but also communicating with our colleagues in the city council, obviously they know the issues and concerns that impact the district, so we just need to all refocus together in order to try to protect our workers and the people that we represent. So let me, on behalf of our committee, let me thank you both for coming in. Obviously, we're not happy with what we're hearing. That's obvious, but we need to work on it together. Please make sure you stay in contact with us so that we can do anything that we can do at the state level, but also working with the city council and the leaders of the various committees that govern FDNY and EMTs and everything. Thank you both for coming in.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And next, our next panel is our final panel. It is panel 4, Police Benevolent Association of the City of New York, PBA NYC. Patrick Hendry is the president. And then Correction Officers Benevolent Association of New York City, Coburn, COBY, NYC, and Benny Bosoyo Jr. is the president. So if you need an extra chair, just grab an extra chair and take one side and the other. So this is our last panel. Panel 4 is scheduled from 1:10 and we're to 2:10. And each one of the union representatives have 10 minutes to make a statement, and then we will go to Q&A after that. So President Patrick Hendry, thank you for coming, and President Benny Bosio Jr., thank you for coming in. Please, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Senator Jackson and the Senate committee members. I'm Patrick Hendry, President of the Police Benevolent Association of the City of New York. I am joined by my recording secretary, Betty Caradero, and Associate General Counsel, David Morris. I want to thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony on a very important and very urgent issue. I'm going to summarize my testimony in the interest of time. A full version has been submitted for your review. As you know, our union represents more than 21,000 rank and file members of the City of New York Police Department. Our members are women and men in the patrol cars and on the streets of your neighborhoods. We don't just protect New York City communities, we are the community. A majority of our members reside within the 5 boroughs. A majority are people of color, and all of us work in partnership with the neighborhoods we protect. On behalf of those members, I want to speak very frankly about our recruitment, retention, and staffing levels in the NYPD, because the current situation is nothing short of a crisis. The current uniform headcount is roughly 33,500. That's 7,000 police officers short of our peak staffing. It is also the lowest headcount our department has seen in more than 30 years. The last time New York City staffing was this low was in 1990, before the hiring of 6,000 additional police officers through Mayor David Dinkins' Safe Streets, Safe City initiative. That historic investment in public safety marked the beginning of a turnaround in many of our neighborhoods. But over the past 20 years, Mayor Dinkins' investment has been completely erased, and some of our key public safety gains have faded along with it. Certain serious crime categories remain well above their 2019 levels. 911 response times have risen steadily, and basic police service has deteriorated. New York City simply does not have enough police officers to meet its public safety needs. Last year, we saw 3,701 uniformed members resign or retire from the NYPD. That was a full 10% of our ranks. It was also the highest number of departures in more than 2 decades. One of the most troubling trends is the growing percentage of police officers who are quitting in the prime of their careers, before their pension eligibility, and often taking better paying policing jobs elsewhere. Those mid-career departures are now almost half of our total attrition. On the recruitment side, NYPD's hiring was not kept up with this historic exodus. The department has hired fewer than 3,000 police officers to replace nearly 6,000 it has lost since the start of 2022. That downward spiral in the NYPD staffing has dramatically increased the workload for police officers who remain on the job. Our members are routinely held past the end of their tour or deprived of their regularly scheduled days off. The extreme workload has driven even more of our members to seek their other opportunities that provide a better quality of life. We need to immediately help to break this vicious cycle before public safety in New York City is eroded any further. In this competitive law enforcement labor market, there are several factors that put the NYPD at a unique disadvantage in comparison to other police departments. One of the biggest factors is the grossly inequitable pension benefit received by our members hired under pension Tier 3. As you know, Tier 3 lacks key benefits available to many of other police officers throughout the state, even those under Tier 5 and Tier 6. I would like to call to your attention 2 pieces of pending legislation in this area. First is Assembly Bill 7791, which has also been introduced by Senator Chu. Thank you very much. This bill would restore the 20-year service retirement for New York City police officers hired since 2009, replacing the current 22-year minimum service requirement. This change would put our Tier 3 members on a more equal footing with their counterparts across the state, reducing the incentive for members to jump to another police department with a more favorable pension plan. The second bill is Senate Bill 2148-A, introduced by Senator Dabo. Thank you, Senator Dabo, for introducing this bill. This bill would provide enhanced pension benefits for senior police officers who remain on the job for periods of 25 to 30 years. It mirrors a longevity incentive that is already afforded to NYPD members in the rank of captain and above. This bill could have an immediate positive impact on attrition by incentivizing members who are on the verge of retirement to extend their careers by another 5 or 10 years. I would also like to briefly discuss one issue related to NYPD's recruiting pipeline. Currently, New York City denies Tier 3 police officers the right to buy back pension credits for their time in other city or state civil service titles. That includes service with the New York City Corrections Department, as well as service in other titles within the NYPD, including traffic enforcement agents, school safety agents, NYPD cadets. These public safety titles have long served as a valuable source of the dedicated, diverse recruits for the NYPD's uniform ranks. Mayor Eric Adams has himself called for a promotion pipeline to recruit police officers from these titles. Despite this, the city has continued to deny our members full credit for that service. We will therefore seek introduction of legislation to correct this injustice during the upcoming session. We look forward to continuing to work with this committee and the entire legislature on these proposed solutions, because addressing the NYPD staffing crisis is absolutely critical to the economic and social health of this city. The public safety gains achieved by a fully staffed NYPD in 1990s paved the way for the city's economic resurgence. The question, therefore, is not whether New York City can afford to correct the NYPD's recruitment and retention crisis. The question is whether it can afford to allow the crisis to continue any longer. I thank you for your time and attention to these important issues. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. President Bosillo Jr.
Good morning, Chairman Jackson and the distinguished members of this committee. My name is Benny Basio Jr. I am the president of the Correction Officers Benevolent Association, the second largest law enforcement union in the city of New York. Our members, as you know, provide care, custody, and control of approximately 6,200 inmates daily. Today's hearing focuses on a discussion on the retention and recruitment for civil service jobs in New York and the New York State Pension Fund. I thank you, Chairman Jackson, for shining a spotlight on this critically important issue that is at the heart of every workforce in the city of New York. We cannot have a meaningful conversation about recruitment and retention without also focusing on safe staffing levels. As you are well aware, the Department of Correction has been grappling with unprecedented challenges over the last several years. From increased jail violence to correction officers working over 24 hours straight without meals and rest, to female officers being victimized by sexual assaults. We have the utmost respect and gratitude for our brothers and sisters in the New York City civil service community, particularly our fellow uniformed forces. But the fact of the matter is that no other workforce in this city has been subjected to the inhumane conditions we have been subjected to, while simultaneously being scapegoated, criticized, second-guessed, and blamed for all the problems in our jails by the media and by many elected officials. We have been defunded and we have been villainized. Our workforce is 85% African American and Hispanic. Nearly 50% of our workforce is comprised of female correction officers. Nearly 70% of our members live in the 5 boroughs of New York. We are your constituents, your neighbors, and your fellow taxpayers. And yet time and time again, we have been treated like second-class citizens. In November of last year, the New York State Comptroller Tom DiNapoli released an extensive report that examined the vacancy rates throughout all New York City agencies and throughout all New York City civil service titles over a 2-year period from 2020 to 2022. The report, which can be found on the State Comptroller's website, reaffirmed what COBA has been sounding the alarm about for the past several years. According to the report, the Department of Correction has experienced a staffing decline of at least 3 times the citywide average by 23.6%. The report further revealed that the civil service title of New York City Correction Officer had the second highest vacancy rate out of any other civil service title in the city, with a staffing decline of 25.9%. So out of 37 municipal agencies, our workforce is facing the fastest rate of attrition, and unless that trend is reversed, our staffing crisis will only worsen. So how did we get here? As I've testified at numerous New York City Council hearings, the Department of Correction failed to hire a single correction officer from February of 2019 to July of 2021. This was the result of the former administration's deliberate effort to defund correction officers as part of de Blasio's misguided plan to close Rikers Island. And since February of 2019, more than 4,000 correction officers have either resigned or retired. Since August of 2022, we have lost over 600 correction officers due to resignation and retirements. Our current headcount is at approximately 5,600 correction officers. In 2019, we were well over 9,000 correction officers. Also, in that same time period, our inmate population has risen steadily and now sits at approximately 6,200 inmates. Nearly 70% of our current inmate population is being held on violent felony charges, which means they are not eligible for bail. Recent projections show that our inmate population is expected to grow to nearly 7,000 over the next couple of years. This is the first time in decades when we have far more inmates in our custody than correction officers on the job. Given this, how can anyone still pretend that we have one of the richest staffing ratios in the country? Our 5,600 correction officers work 3 tours of duty, and they are not all at work at the same time. We have officers out sick who are recovering from inmate assaults or illness. We have officers on FMLA and maternity leave. We have officers out on military leave. And of course, we are going to continue to have officers who plan to retire or resign. As a result of our staffing crisis, we have officers working well over 100 to 150 hours of overtime every month. This excessive amount of overtime naturally leads to burnout and takes a heavy toll on our officers' health, causing them to get sick and take sick leave. This is a never-ending vicious cycle that was set in motion by the 3-year hiring freeze and failure to hire more officers. We welcome and appreciate the fact that the Adams administration recognized the need to hire more officers, but unfortunately the pace of hiring is not moving fast enough or with sufficient urgency. For example, just last week, we welcomed 116 new graduates from the Correction Academy who joined our ranks. But given the consistent trend of attrition over the past several years, we will likely lose more than 100 correction officers to resignations or retirements over the course of the next 2-3 months. It is also possible we could see another 500 to 1,000 officers retire from the 2004 and 2005 DOC classes. Another warning sign concerning our recruitment struggles is the fact that despite removing the 60 college credit requirement, our next class of recruits is comprised of only 100 applicants. The department was seeking to fill 500 positions. Another significant factor is the leading to our recruitment and retention struggles concerning Tier 6, which is our modified Tier 3, accurately known as CF22 plan. That plan was created over 10 years ago. That pension plan increased the service time required to receive full pension benefits from 20 to 25 years. We must fix the pension disparities caused by our modified Tier 3 CF22 if we are ever going to create a meaningful career path and incentivize people to take these very challenging jobs. I, like many other correction officers, took this job over 20 years ago because of the excellent benefits it once offered, including the pension benefits, but now those benefits have been diminished. Additionally, the legislature must pass our Social Security offset legislation, which would remove the Social Security offset for New York City correction officers who are members of the New York City Uniform Correction/Sanitation Revised Pension Plan. Under the New York City Uniform Correction/Sanitation Revised Plan, correction officers are subject to a reduction of their pension up to 50% of the correction officer's basic Social Security benefit. Correction officers who were employed prior to 2012 are not subject to this offset. Therefore, this legislation would establish equity in the pension system for our members. In order to secure everyone's safety and ensure inmates receive services and programming, we must maintain optimal staffing levels. Safe staffing levels matter. The city must invest in hiring at least 3,000 to 3,500 new officers over the next 2 years in order to backfill the positions lost over the past 3 years and to compensate for officers out on sick leave. Triple shifts can never be allowed to happen again. Former Senator Diane Savino had introduced a bill in the state Senate which would have banned the practice of forcing public employees, including correction officers, from having to work more than 17 consecutive hours. But the bill never moved beyond the committee in either house. So as I sit here today, I joined by other municipal union leaders who are all grappling with their own staffing shortages. I ask you, Mr. Chairman, and members of this committee, what is your commitment at the state level to provide safe staffing levels for not only my members, but for all uniform agencies in our city? Will you reintroduce and pass former Senator Savino's legislation that would have banned the practice of forcing public employees to work more than 17 consecutive hours, which in turn would also ensure city agencies maintain safe staffing levels by keeping up with attrition? Will you commit yourselves in the next legislative session to fixing the pension disparities caused by our modified Tier 3 CF22 pension plan and the Social Security offset? The Department of Corrections will not be able to recruit and retain more correction officers if our career path is completely gutted. Each of you and your colleagues in the Senate have a moral obligation to pass legislation that will help mitigate the staffing crisis we continue to face. You cannot be proponents of having safer jails if you don't support legislation that will create safe staffing levels, which will help correction officers make our jails safer for everyone. For the safety of my members and the well-being of the inmates in our custody, I ask for your support. Thank you for inviting me to testify before you today. I am happy to answer any questions you may have.
In listening to the testimony of both of you, but more specifically to corrections, I'd say, wow. I mean, this is, do we support, obviously, safe staffing? I would think that all of the senators sitting up here emphatically would say yes. Do we support both unions having the pension improvements that we want? All of us would say yes. And the question is, can we all work together from a legislative point of view, knowing that the primary issues and concerns that are being discussed is specifically New York City, but we at the state level, all of us up here, 3 of us are representing New York City, and 2 are Nassau and Suffolk County, but basically they understand the situation based on the numbers that you put forward. I would have to say yes, I wholeheartedly support all of these things in order to try to move it. And that's why this hearing is so important, because I was talking to one of my colleagues in the Assembly who chaired the Government Affairs Committee, Peter Abate, and I asked him, has he ever held hearings like this? And he said he had not. So this is focusing on what the needs are so that it's crystal clear what the needs are from the various unions representing the employees, whether it's NYPD or corrections, and because both of you are, as presidents of your union, are sitting at this table right now. And I think that if I ask 100 people, everyone wants to make sure that our communities are safe for ourselves and our family. And they want to make sure that all of the people that are working for us, police officers, correction officers, are safe also. I just hope that we collectively, I'm talking about union leaders, members of the city council, the executives of this New York City, meaning the mayor and the public advocate and the state and the city controller, that we all focus together to make those improvements happen. Time will tell. You and I know that from a legislative point of view, sometimes we think that things are going to be easy, and it's not easy. We hope and pray that it would take place right away, but we've known legislation that has sat around for years. I am hoping that we use what was said by all of you, the last panel, as the president of the PBA, and Benny as the president of all of the correction officers, that we can move on these in order to ensure that all of us are safe and that things are being done right. And hopefully all of the other leaders of our city and the state would also agree. And I do know that some of these a lot of the changes is going to be a cost factor. And the question is, are we willing to pay that cost factor to ensure the safety and security of the people that we represent, and also paying and looking after those workers that looking for a just pension and things like that? I hope the answer is yes. But if working together, I think that we can do that, and that's my commitment as the chair of Civil Service and Pensions Committee, and that's why this hearing was held in Albany on the 11th of October, and today, the 17th of October in New York City. And that's why both hearings are online, so people that may want to see that and watch it, to see what has been being said, it's extremely important. Because these statistics that you put out, the prior panel talking about the contracts not being renewed to the level of satisfaction, these are major issues that need to be addressed. So with that, I know that we will be analyzing all of the information as to what is standing in the way from producing some of the results that we're looking for. In my opinion, legislation will be put forward. When you ask, the legislation that Diane Zavino had, will it come back? I would say yes, because not only do you have members of this committee, but anyone, as you know, can renew legislation if it's not being renewed by the sponsor. So I look forward to working with all of you all on that. With that, I turn right now to the ranker for any questions or comments you may have.
Thank you, Chairman. Many of you can probably see my heart beating. I'm so infuriated. The cost factor we had, this was the reason, fighting back against defunding our law enforcement was the reason I ran for the Senate. I had a very comfortable job in my town, and I left it to go to the very uncomfortable life of living in Albany. For this very reason, and you know my son was NYPD, and he's one of the ones who left. For many reasons, we'll try to stick to the topic, which is civil service. I had corrections officers call me from their job telling me they felt like they were the prisoners, trapped at their job, unable to leave because of mandatory overtime. These are deplorable conditions that need to be addressed. They infuriate me because it is part city, a little bit of state, and we have to work together to try to solve these problems. Cost factors. I mean, we had safe levels. We had safe levels. Why did we destroy them? Why did we purposely create laws and legislation that deteriorated our NYPD and our correction systems? Why did we do that? It's a simple fix. Go back to 2019. Obviously, those were working. This doesn't work. It has proven it doesn't work. And we need to fix things by reverting the bad laws that were put into place. People are being hurt. They're losing their lives. And you want to talk about the civil service part of it? Yeah, no one wants the job anymore. Gee, like that wasn't by design. It was absolutely by design. That's how they defunded you. That's how they drove people out of the job. That's how they defunded our police and our corrections, by making it so uninhabitable that nobody wanted the job. We saw this happening. This is the reason I ran for Senate. And quite honestly, where we move from here, the fact that you are here testifying, and we're here as a civil service panel trying to figure out, gee, how do we recruit and maintain more employees for the future? We know damn well how to fix it. I'm just going to stop there for the moment.
Senator Addabbo from Queens.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. And I want to thank both President Basio and President Hendry for their testimony and for their efforts. Certainly appreciate that. And we look forward to working with my colleagues on legislation. Talking about legislation, President Hendry brought up two pieces of legislation. I just asked Senator Chu about her bill, which I read the Assembly version, and I will be a co-sponsor of her bill in the Senate. As for my bill, 2148, I saw it as a very simple bill that basically gave parity to other police officers with other ranks that have the same pension benefits, and an effort to very simply retain the experienced officer.
Absolutely.
The problem, my colleagues, that we have is we will never have an opportunity to look at my bill. We'll never have an opportunity to see it through committee or discuss it in conference because the city council, we need a home rule. And the city council has had two opportunities to give us a home rule, and they failed both times. They will not issue a home rule. As you can tell, I'm not happy. We will think about a different strategy about that bill and that language. But again, I want to say that I will continue to promote that bill because I think it's the right direction, the right thing to do for not only police officers, but certainly for the residents of New York City. So again, I look forward to working on that bill. But again, I want to thank both you and your members for their, again, commitment and dedication to our great city and its residents. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Matara, representing part of Suffolk County.
All I have to say is to this wonderful woman, ditto, which she said, you know, and it was one of the reasons why I ran also, too, was because of what was happening also, too, what happened with bail reform. And the reason why we're here right now to make sure that we're going to recruit people and get dignity back with the police force, to corrections, and to you labor leaders just like me. I know what I do, and not for anything, too. We need to get the respect back with our men and women in blue, corrections, etc. You know, we said this all along. Bail reform needs to be repealed right on the floor at the Capitol chamber. We said it all along. It needs to be repealed. Get the PBAs, get the district attorneys, and get the judges with back their discretion. Get them to the table to do this right. Repeal it. Let's do this and move forward so we can get people back to work that want to do this. I just know too many people on Long Island where I live, our friends, our neighbors, our family members that left the job because what's happening in New York City. All Long Islanders. I can sit there and say, okay, guess what? I live. No. I have my family members that work here in New York City. I have my members, all my people that I know, do not even want to come to the city anymore because they do not feel safe. How does that make you feel, gentlemen? How does it make you feel? That in other words, you're doing a job, and right now our law enforcement can't do their job because of laws. Excuse me?
We don't feel supported.
Guess what? We always support you. And we need to do a better job, not a Band-Aid fix either. I'm going to ask the same question that I asked the last panel. The migrant situation. Please, answer me. What's happening with that? Before the migrant situation, we had a huge issue for for years. Now you have this going on. Please, President.
So, no matter how many people come into this city, what we think of that situation, there's so many people coming into this city. We're understaffed, we're overworked, we're short. We can't keep up with it. There's so many people coming into this city. Crime is up in different categories, and it's become incredibly difficult, as I talked about, response times. It's become incredibly difficult to be a New York City police officer. Our profession's been under attack. We have police officers being assaulted at an alarming rate, and every day it gets harder and harder, and more people come into the city, which makes it harder for us to do our jobs. Simple as that. It makes it incredibly hard for us to do our jobs.
It's just totally unacceptable. I don't know why I'm not on here. Totally unacceptable. So you know what? To go sit there and sit here at this board, and we're trying to recruit people? How do you recruit anybody that right now, that was a great job, that everybody would go and take the test? My cousin Robert Matera, Queens Homicide. He even says this all the time to me. He goes, I can't believe it. I'm glad I'm out. You never heard that before. Never did you hear that. That's all you hear. So what are we supposed to do? What do we do as legislators to fix this? I know bail reform has to be fixed, because we'll talk about that all day long. Quick question, 20 years of stop, question, and frisk. Maybe that's something that people don't even want to hear. I don't know that, but 85% were crimes. I don't want anybody to be incarcerated. I wish nobody was in the jails, by the way, but that's not the case. My question to you, you had 20 years of that. People felt safe. People were coming in. The city was vibrant. Please explain that to me, too, that police officers had dignity. Police officers were respected, not getting frozen bottles or certain things getting thrown at them. Who would want that? I wouldn't want that. Our correctional officers, there it is, women in jail. There was a bill that just went forward. I don't even know where that went, by the way. Right with the safe staffing. We're doing that with the nurses also, too, with that. But our correction officers, no respect at all. But getting back to what I just asked them, Mr. President, what do you feel about that again?
Well, again, our members are attacked out in the street. It's incredibly difficult to be a police officer on the street. We're being squeezed in every single direction. When our police officers make arrests, criminals are back out on the streets of the city of New York. We're doing the job every single day. Our police officers are risking their lives. Just the other day, in transit, we had police officers, one stabbed in the cheek, the right cheek, another stabbed in the left arm.
How come we didn't hear that with the media, though?
Doing their job every day, our police officers. Well, I was on the media, I'll tell you that.
I know you were on the media, but
Yes.
again, it really didn't go anywhere.
Yes, but our members are being squeezed in every direction. Like I said, we're out there doing the job.
Yes.
But we need to be supported, and these bills that I brought up would help tremendously push us in the direction that we need to go. There are a lot of issues, as you said, but these bills would help us in the recruiting and the retention. But there are a lot of other issues, but we need these bills, and we need them as fast as possible.
Right. I don't want a Band-Aid fix either. That's another issue. Band-Aid fixes don't, you know what, that's just like compromise. This is more than compromise, what's happening with the city of New York City.
Yeah, our members
Thank
have
you.
inferior pensions from those throughout the entire state.
Okay.
Every single other police agency has a better pension than Tier 3 is right now. No doubt about it.
Repeal bail reform. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
let me thank you. Let me clarify certain things. For the record, we have asylum seekers that have come to New York for opportunity to better themselves and their families. And yes, it is a lot to handle, but they want the working authorization in order to work. And obviously, that has not happened as of yet. And as a result of that, people are trying to work in any manner, shape, or form that they can in order to earn money for themselves to live and also to send back to families. So that's a huge issue. That's not only a New York City issue, not only a New York State, but that's a federal issue also. And I'm, excuse me.
Say something. We are a sanctuary state and a sanctuary city. With a stroke of a pen, We could go right now, Mayor Adams, with a stroke of a pen, excuse
Senator-
me, I'm talking, could go
No,
and
no, Senator.
rescind
Senator,
the
no, you-
sanctuary city.
Senator,
That should be done here.
Senator, please. You've had your time as a chair. I am communicating overall that situation right now for the asylum seekers and the migrants that are here. They are here for opportunity, and we have to deal with that regardless of whether or not people want it or don't want it. Obviously, it's having a negative impact on the situation in New York City as far as housing them, as far as paying the billions of dollars that it's costing. But we are who we are. We're New York City, and we will get over this. To get back to both what the president of PBA and the president of correction officers, the issues and concerns regarding civil service and pension, that's our jurisdiction. But besides that, obviously, there will be legislation, whether or not it was passed in 2019, 20, or before that we have to address. And it will, if people are willing to do that at the local level, at the statewide level, at the federal level, and if not, we do the best that we can. And that's what I'm committed to do on behalf of all of the people that we represent. And right now, as far as the chair of Civil Service and Pension, I'm focusing on those aspects that are needed to be able to communicate to whoever's making the decision to hire more people, that you have more, to make sure that they're trained out there to do the job, and also to look after their health and their benefits. That's basically what we're focusing on. And I hope that everything works out to the betterment of not only your members, but to your members and the people of New York City and New York State. I'm not going to get into an argument or debate on the bail reform. That's not what this Civil Service and Pensions Committee is about. That will be taking place if, in fact, there's a bill that's introduced, and if it gets to the floor for discussion and be voted on, that's where that will be dealt with. That's not in this committee. So I just wanted to say that loud and clear to all of you. I do understand exactly the staffing situation and the impact that's having based on the numbers that you used to have. Same thing with you in corrections. Based on the numbers, I believe everything that you wrote down here and given testimony is true. So I don't have a problem with what you had to say, and I would do everything that I can in the committee and in the state senate in order to do what we can to improve those situations for more positive outcomes. That's my goal and objective. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Senator Chu.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question. I would like to emphasize on the short staffing situation, and I want to make it very clear, the committee here, this body, we're here to support you.
Thank
We're
you.
here to, we all want public safety, absolutely, no doubt, no doubt. And I appreciate all your work and all your men and women, all the members. I really appreciate that. So I would like to focus on the short staffing, how we could make sure the public is safe, your members are also safe. So could you just give me some example? Currently, we have like larger scale protesting or rally on the street. And when we're facing short staffing, how do you manage it on the PD level? How do you manage the staff? Like, how do you arrange the staff to make sure the site is safe, is secure, and also ensure the local level, we are shifting those workforce manpower from other district, other precinct. How do we ensure and balance?
Well, that's more of a management question of the hierarchy of the NYPD, but I can tell you that we're up against it out there in the streets. Rallies every single day, protests across this city. All members are out there. We're worn thin. Again, we're being squeezed in every direction. We're barely getting days off, barely getting meals, working around the clock 24/7. And we're doing our job, though. We're doing incredible work in the city of New York, but we need help. We're asking everyone here, we need help.
Absolutely. And honor to carry the bill, and also I'm a co-sponsor of Senator Adabo's bill as well. We're doing everything we can, absolutely.
Thank you.
And in terms of COBA, thank you for the numbers. Now we have 5,600 officers with 6,200 inmates. We're short staffing, not even 1-to-1. It's 1.1-to-1. Could you give us, could you tell us what's the impact or hardship in terms of on the daily operation or staffing management? Say if an inmate has a core schedule or doctor appointments, how do we manage the staffing? How do we manage this?
Well, it's very hard to manage the way we're managing. I mean, we're running, it's gotten to the point where we have unmanned areas, meaning we don't have a correction officer in a housing area. And that's very dangerous for the inmate population. We're overworked. We're not getting relief for meal. It's been a very trying time for correction officers. Assaults are up. Our female correction officers being sexually assaulted. It seems like there's no viable consequences for inmate actions anymore. You know, a crime is a crime no matter where it's committed. You know, you cut somebody on the subway, you go to jail. But if you cut somebody within Rikers Island, it seems like nothing can happen to you. And in order to maintain safety and security in Rikers, in our jails, and so the inmates could get proper services, we need manpower. Like you wouldn't understand. I mean, it's just a tragedy to where we're at today as law enforcement in this city, right? We can argue that this is the richest city in America, right? But we're treated, very unfairly. You know, this is not a third world country, and we shouldn't. To work for our own legislators, and no disrespect to any of you on this panel, but I've testified at many of these hearings, city council, and it's almost like we are the enemy. And the criminals you have all the rights in the world. And this is our sad state today.
Very unfortunate to hear that. And I do agree. All your members, they deserve those reputation, and they should be honored for their work because they sacrifice, they put their body in the front line to protect us. So it is our job as legislators to make sure you do deserve those honor and need to be recognized and compensated, and make sure your work environment is safe for them to work and also for their family members. So I really appreciate your work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And go back to Senator White.
Thank you. And for corrections, I just have a quick question. How does HALT affect morale in the correctional facility? How has that impacted the ability to do their job?
Tremendously, because it's emboldened the inmate population to assault us at will. There's no viable consequences. We can't, separate violent offenders from the general population. It's the watered down consequences have emboldened the inmate to attack us more. I mean, we have housing areas that are gang affiliated, which this new administration is slowly breaking them apart. But we're at a disadvantage all day. So if you don't have viable consequences for inmate assaults on us, assaults on other inmates, when they cut each other, then the assaults will continue on my members, and it's unacceptable.
And with the revolving door, I know with NYPD especially, as they're arresting individuals for committing crimes before they've even finished their shift, that individual's back out on the street, which then brings a fear factor to those police officers. Why would anyone want these jobs? These are the difficulties that we're facing. So the laws that we're bringing forward are causing the problem for recruitment, in addition to the fact that they've also got different pension systems from everyone else and so on. So I'm glad to hear that we have some bills that we can co-sponsor and support and promote. That's going to be the big one, is all these individuals who I share chambers, Senate chambers with and Assembly chambers with, who claim that they support law enforcement. This is the year. I want to see them support law enforcement. I want to see them promote and bring these bills forward and vote them into law and change what we have right now. And that's what I'm looking forward to. I thank you and all of your members for their service. And just know that we do support you, and we're here for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, this is the last panel, so let me thank you both for coming in. Obviously, We have your testimony, and all of those in the jurisdiction of our committee, we will handle, hopefully, appropriately, sooner rather than later. Obviously, it takes more than just the 7 members of our committee. You're talking about 63 members of the New York State Senate and 150 members of the New York State Assembly. And for, if in fact we pass any of the bills, the governor has to sign off on it also. So I look forward to working with you, both you and your political people, in order to try to move the agenda. Obviously, other issues that are not germane to our committee will be dealt with in whatever appropriate arena that needs to be dealt with. With that, I thank you both for your service as presidents of your various unions, and I look forward to working with you on resolving the issues that have been brought forward today. Okay.
Thank you very
all so
much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. This committee hearing. Thank you.